Don't read my notes.
No, a little bit.
Damn
of
it!
your notes. I didn't see your
pulled
score.
up for
I didn't
one
see your score
second.
though.
You're
I didn't
reading
see
my
your score.
notes.
I didn't see your
Hello,
score.
friends.
Oh, sorry. Oh, hey.
Hello, friends.
Hello.
It's Critical Mass. This episode 54, the show where we talk about movies that critics and audiences don't agree on, like tonight's lovely little film, Come True. I'm Nick Honeywell. I'm here with Mr. Gris Griswold, Mr. Brian MC Cullen, producer Ben. Say hello, gentle sirs.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Brian MC Cullen here, and I just want to say, we've done a lot of movies for you, but this one's for me.
So,
Just
yes, it is.
It's only for him.
Well, I don't want to assume it's for us, but maybe it is.
Yeah.
All right, let's break the ice. And I think this is kind of an appropriate icebreaker given the film, and we'll get more into that. But let's talk about a movie. What movie to you guys has like the most hopeless ending? Just totally depressing ending. Everything is fucked. What movie is that for you guys?
This is not one you would probably expect, but The Big Short. I think how like dark and twisted the financial world is, and how they worked the system to make as much money as possible with CDOs and like the backing behind that. The end of the movie, spoiler alert, they essentially just keep doing the same thing. They just keep doing what they're doing, and they keep making money, and it's just like they kind of over-explain it, and they kind of simplify it. And I think that is just horrifying to think about every time I watch that film. But it's wildly rewatchable.
I mean, we're whatever movies we're saying. By the way, we're spoiling the ending because we're talking about the ending.
Yeah,
so that's just we have to. I'll say for me, it was a Lars von Trier movie called Melancholia, and at the end of this movie. So the movie deals with the fact that the moon is going to crash into the Earth, but it's more of a drama than a sci-fi, and it deals with two different characters and how they're dealing with this throughout the movie. One of them kind of represents anxiety, the other one represents depression, right? And so they're both it's sort of like juxtaposing like how do these two things come through, and how are they drastically different from each other? Because we typically group anxiety and depression together. They're very different from each other. Anyway, the moon is going to run into the Earth, and at one point in the movie you think it's not going to, but then you realize it's going to, and it does, and everyone dies. The entire world dies at the end of this movie. So kind of a downer, but it's a phenomenal movie. Kirsten Dunst, great movie.
Nick loves those kind of endings.
Mm-hmm, I do.
Everyone does.
Yeah.
Well, your favorite genre of film.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
hey. Okay. Well, yeah, that kind of happens in the one I'm picking here. Although not explicitly. I'm going to go with The Thing. John Carpenter. I think, and the thing I like so much about The Thing is that in the end, so you kind of got Keith David and Kurt Russell. They're just kind of like, they're just fucked. They're sitting out in the cold. Yep. They're drinking a bottle of scotch, and they're basically like, the best case scenario is they're going to freeze to death. And obviously the worst case scenario is they're going to get, destroyed by this alien. But that movie just has this sort of, and it's just so smartly done. I love that movie, by the way. It's probably
great movie.
It's in my top 100. But the way that they just kind of treat, that those final pieces of dialogue in that movie is just, I love that movie. But it is also just so hopeless.
It's beautifably hopeless.
It is beautifully hopeless.
There you go.
Beautifully hopeless. Yeah. I feel like it's kind of realistic. Like I feel like if it was really going down like that, that's kind of how it would end. So, anyways, love that movie. Great film. All right. There's a special announcement, and Gris is going to make it.
I am going to make it.
criticalmasspodcast.com. Go to our website. You can easily find our latest episodes on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube.
Speaking of YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube, we would just love if you would subscribe so much. Right now we have, I think 62 subscribers.
Yep.
And
we're gonna 62.
We're gonna aim for. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna say something nuts.
We're going for 500.
No, we're gonna go for 70.
Whoa!
We're gonna go for 70 subscribers. If we can get 70 subscribers by the time this episode drops, we will. We used to promise
do something.
Yeah, we'll do something.
Let's actually do. Yeah. Let's do something.
We'll do something
while we're matching shirts.
Sure.
We should have thought of what we do, but we'll think of something.
We're working on it. The moral of the story is please subscribe. We'd love that.
Yes.
Also, we would highly recommend watch the film before you watch this podcast. You might enjoy it a little bit more, or watch it as you're listening to this podcast. That can also work. We are watching the film
right at the beginning of every episode.
Yep. As we talk about this podcast. So, and once you do watch it, why don't you just drop a rating down below? Tell us what you out of 100. We do ratings out of 100.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to rate this movie out of 100, we will shout that out maybe on our next episode or something.
Yeah.
That doesn't really make sense because we'll be talking about a different movie, but that's okay. You will get some
on the
sort
next
of
episode.
Yeah,
you're right.
We're going to
You're
shout
right.
you out. Just rate the movie. We'll shout you out. Okay, that was sort of the housekeeping notes. Anything else you guys got? Housekeeping?
I just want to emphasize, especially on this movie, if you haven't seen it yet, just maybe stop the podcast and watch it. And then, I know Nick, you said that, but I highly recommend that because we're really going to spoil this movie when we talk about it. And this is a movie that you don't really want to get spoiled.
And you probably haven't seen this because this is a little bit of a different movie because this is like an indie movie, a pretty kind of obscure, kind of low budget movie.
But important, very important.
We're going to get into that. So please watch it. Okay, now we're going to move along to the feedback corner. Do we have any feedback tonight?
I want to shout out a comment we got in regards to Brian's Corner with movies that started with first and last, or titled first and last name. A couple that I really omitted, and it wasn't an exhaustive list. It was just a list of 10, but there were a couple I really think should have been on there. And there's a comment on that episode by Ken, and man, some really good ones. Annie Hall, great movie. I don't know how I forgot that. Donnie Darko is a great one too, and then Donnie Brasco, like how did I forget that one? Yeah. And there were some other really great ones on there too. Barton Fink's good, but the one I really can't believe I omitted was Robin Hood. Robin Hood.
Yeah. Oh.
So,
Men in Tights.
Yeah. Men in Tights. There we go. Hey.
By the way, Robin Hood Men in Tights and Robin Hood Prince of Thieves are on our future queue because they are both critical messes. So we might, in honor of this, we might do a couple of Robin Hoods coming up. We'll see. Anyway, great comment. There's some other ones on there too. Some ones that I really left out. So good job.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just going to give I was in Chicago this last weekend shooting for Purdue, and two people came up to me and started talking about, weirdly enough, movies. One thought they had heard of the podcast before, like the concept of it, and they were wondering if it was the same one. I need to follow up. But they were both wildly excited about this show and what the concept was.
I hope you're watching.
Yeah, a nice little shout out.
Watching.
Yeah, so appreciate you.
Yeah, great feedback.
Yeah.
Then we'll move right on to the sock game. Blue socks tonight. We're complimenting the Air Pennies and the blue T-shirt. I try. Okay, now I'm going to issue a correction/retraction.
Whoa.
Uh-oh.
And Brian, we got you to blame for this one.
Oh shit.
Oh no.
It's not a big deal. It is a big deal.
But
I'm going to just have to call it out because I just rewatched this film and I'm so glad I did because it's such a good fucking movie. And that movie is Dread. And I think in our top 100 episode,
it's a great movie.
So this is it's a great movie. And a few episodes back, I believe it was in our top 100.
Did I say he didn't say I am the law?
You did.
And I was wrong?
You were wrong.
Shit.
Oh no.
He says, what's his name?
Keith Urban.
Yeah.
Keith Urban.
Urban, yes.
The country
Not
singer?
Keith Urban.
No.
Carl Urban.
Carl. Sorry, Carl.
Man, these retractions just go retractions all the way down.
We're going back to this
it's
one.
bad.
We're coming back. It's bad.
Carl Urban, way different from
Carl
Keith
Urban. Carl Urban.
I played it off like Keith Urban's right.
He does say I am the law in Dread, so now you know.
There you go.
And also watch that.
I'm sorry.
movie, 'cause
I apologize.
It's very good. It's okay, Brian, because I agreed with you. I was like, yeah, right.
I know, but like, it's still, it was my fault. I was driving the car and you were in the passenger seat.
I was just riding along though. Okay, if we haven't already explained this, we're going to spoil Come True, which is what we're talking about here tonight. And this film, Come True, came out in the year of our Lord 2020. It's an indie movie, as explained. And I already said it's called Come True. So here's Come True.
You okay?
I'm good. Really?
Really?
You'll be okay to attend for the full 2-month period?
Yes. So we really just show up and sleep.
We just need you lying there in REM.
REM.
The stage of sleep where we dream the most vividly.
How many of us are in the study?
I can't tell you that.
What are you studying?
I can't tell you that either. I don't want to do this anymore.
Now we wait. We'll either be hailed or crucified based on our treatment of this breakthrough.
What's happening?
This is exactly what he's been waiting for.
Don't you ever feel like you're seeing something that you're not supposed to?
Wake up.
Numbers for Come True.
Let's hear it.
So couldn't find the budget on this one.
Probably pretty low.
And look, I spent at least 2 to 3 minutes searching, and I asked ChatGPT, and it couldn't find it either. So look, if ChatGPT says it can't find the budget, am I going to find the fucking budget? No,
doesn't
I'm
exist.
not. Okay, so I don't really know what to do there, but I did get a reported take for the film. It's at $62,080.
Pretty low.
So
That's theatrical, though.
That's theatrical.
That's not including streams and stuff.
Yeah. So,
and you mentioned
but-
2020, so you know.
But so the $4 I paid to watch this probably had a fairly significant impact on the bottom line of this film.
Hope so.
And my free trial of AMC Plus did not.
Well, but here's the thing: I do think though these streaming services, they, as Brian kind of alluded to, they paid to license it or whatever.
Yeah.
So you know this movie did make more than $62,000, but it wasn't a
I'll tell you this: it
mega
looks
blockbuster.
it looks so. Whatever the budget was we know it was lower than 62,000. I can tell you that right now because it was a crew of 5 people. But it looks so much better than what
absolutely.
it deserved.
Yeah, I agree.
And that factors into my score, but we'll get to that. Okay, this one directed by Anthony Scott Burns. He's a Canuck, and he hasn't done a whole lot. He's directed some short films, a little bit of TV. Come True is his most recent film, so he hasn't done anything since 2020. Most of what he's done is horror. The only movie that really seemed to have kind of done well in terms of commercial success was The Last Exorcism Part 2, which honestly really makes absolutely no sense because you've already done The Last Exorcism. How is there a Part 2?
Did he direct that?
It's The Last Exorcism. Yes.
Welcome to the world of licensing behind titles of movies.
He only has 2 feature films, so was that his first feature film?
This is
It must have been. Yeah.
Yes. That movie had a $5 million budget and made $25 million, but was critically eviscerated.
Eviscerated. I like that word.
So he directed a successful movie.
Yeah.
Who's in this one? Come True. Well, nobody all that famous except for Harry Potter, of course. He's in this one.
Poor man's
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
I think it's just Harry Potter.
He just straight up. I don't know, man. If you take the glasses away, he looks like Jared Leto, actually.
I think there was
I can see
one
a little bit of
specific
Leto
scene.
in
His
there.
intro scene, for some odd reason, looked just like
Daniel Radcliffe. Yeah.
And I was so thrown. I was like, oh, wow, they pulled him off into the film. And then he didn't come back for a minute. And I was like, oh, that's not him.
No.
They pulled him off in the film.
Wait, what?
Okay, sorry.
It's called Come True.
Yeah,
Come
that's
True.
right.
It's
Thank
called
you.
Come True. Come
Yeah.
True.
Anyways, we're coming full circle.
Don't watch the wrong.
no.
Don't watch the wrong film.
So we're talking about PMDR, Poor Man's Danny Radcliffe,
Yeah.
but also Poor Man's Jared Leto. So Poor Man's Danny Radcliffe, Jared Leto.
good
So
one.
PMDRJL. So Pim Dargelo. We can just call him Pim Dargelo from now on.
So his name is Landon Liboiron.
I'm so sorry, Landon.
Liboiron. He's got kind of a cool name. Landon Liboiron. I don't know. I think it's cool. A little bit
You're a
of
little bory on his name.
A little. Well, yeah, it's a little bit of alliteration.
Hey, he was great in this movie.
Yeah,
I thought he was
pretty
very good.
The lead, Julia Sarah Stone, also very good in this.
She was
movie.
really good.
Yep.
And she's actually been in a lot of stuff. Like it's almost all indie movies and stuff, but she's been in like dozens of movies.
She looked wildly
She was
familiar.
also in a TV show.
She's been in some TV shows.
was,
as
yeah.
well. Yeah.
That's where the director found her, I think.
She's a working actress for sure.
You might get her confused with the girl from Ozark,
Yes, that's
I
who
think
I would
that's who-
imagine,
I think
but I
that's
knew that wasn't her.
who
Yeah.
people would get her confused with.
So this movie's also got Tiffany Helm, Orin McCusker, got Chantal Perron. I'm not sure. I'm sorry, Chantal. A few other people. Not a big cast. Small cast in this film. That's most of the people in this movie.
Which I like.
So quick refresher about our criteria for the movies we talk about on the show. So movies got to be fresh with audiences and rotten with critics on Rotten Tomatoes or vice versa. So the disparity has got to be about 20% or so as well. And this film on Rotten Tomatoes, Come True, is at 84% with critics. So pretty well regarded. 57% with audiences. So also at the high end for what we would tolerate here on this show for audiences. So definitely not hated by audiences by any stretch, but definitely liked by critics.
What is it? What is
fair
that
bit more.
gap? Is that like 30 points?
We don't do math on
yeah,
the show.
well, you're right.
30 something points, yeah.
It's more than 30 points. Okay, so it's a pretty big mess. Pretty big mess.
It is a mess. And speaking of messes,
No,
this
it's
is
less than
Critical
30.
Mess. And we're sponsored by Old Elk. We're on the straight bourbon tonight?
No,
Oh,
we're still
We're still on.
the rum cask.
the
Rum
rum
cask.
cask from our Pirates of the Caribbean
rum
episode.
cask finished
Yeah,
rye.
go back and watch that episode.
Yeah,
It's great.
That's right.
And we also have, just for complete, it's on camera, so I'll say it. And this is buttery. I've had it before, but I'll have a little more. Four Roses single barrel, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, that Four Roses
All right.
is legit.
It's our
Look
guest sponsor.
look out, Old Elk. Look out.
Back the
Somebody's
fuck
coming
up.
in for your Ambrosialist title.
Well, hey.
Whoa, whoa, whoa,
Speaking of the
whoa.
Ambrosialist,
Whoa.
speaking of the Ambrosialist, that's
New episode this week.
That's a new episode. Well, it's this fall.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And it's 9/8 Central, and it's on NBC. It's now on
NBC.
Wow.
Okay, cool.
We've moved to NBC.
That's big budget.
Well, it does. It just gets
that's
tossed
the
around a
Peacock.
lot.
Yeah, that's
Eventually, the
Peacock.
Ambrosialist will be on all networks. So I hear there's a huge twist this week.
This week. It comes out in fall, but this week.
It
comes out this fall this week.
We get an advanced screening, I
Oh,
guess.
yes.
And by
Oh,
this
yeah,
week,
yeah.
I sort of meant like our week, like the week that we got.
I forgot about that.
Right, but it is this fall. Sorry, don't get me wrong on that. It could be fall when you're watching this.
Yeah.
You never know. But I hear that it's revealed. Well, I don't want to spoil too much, but I hear that Zachary Quinto, who's the Ambrosialist, that he's not like entirely human.
Oh shit! we get
wow.
some revelation about his backstory.
I'm not going to say anything more.
Oh, I can't wait.
But he's actually not entirely human, and it's like a big episode for Ted Danson.
Oh yeah,
So
sweet.
and
Sweet.
this
Big
is
reveal
also
for
this
Ted
is
Danson.
also one of the ones directed by Anna
Anna
Kendrick.
Kendrick. Okay, great.
Yeah, so it's a huge episode. Big things going on in the Ambrosialist. It's 9/8 Central this fall on
Man, I'm excited.
CBS. I meant
too.
NBC.
I'm excited.
NBC.
The Ambrosialist.
Oh my god.
Okay, we are going to rate this film Come True. I'm going to start with Brian because Brian asked us to watch this.
So this was my selection. You know,
Brian
we're
asked
going round.
Yes, he did.
We're going round robin, and I chose this because I wanted to watch a movie that I wasn't going to rate 52. Yeah, I just feel like I've been just middling on so
Yeah,
many
or me at
movies. and
68.
I
Yeah.
really wanted something that I either hated or loved because I love to hate and I hate to love. Wait. Anyway,
right.
so I already knew what I thought of this movie, and I just really wanted to talk about it. And I knew it was a critical mess. So I'm a big sucker for sci-fi. I love sci-fi. Just as a genre, and I really love story as well. A great story just draws me in more than performance and more than sort of themes even. And then I love ambiguity. I love movies where you have to watch it again because you didn't get it the first time. And I know that other people would say I hate those kind of movies because why would I have to watch it again? But I love that. I'm all in for rewatching a movie. And also, I love movies that you have to talk about because there's things left up to interpretation. I just love that. I love discussing different viewpoints on a movie. So this movie perfectly combined all three of those elements.
Which?
It is sci-fi at its finest.
Wow.
And I'm going to give this a 94.
Wow.
Damn.
Wow.
Hold on.
moly.
What if you,
My 94, my 9 and my 4 are in bubble letter form, if you can see.
Yeah, those are bold.
That's not just a stick 9 and 4. That's a 2
Yeah, that's a custom font.
So anyway, that is a custom font. Sci-fi at its finest, in my opinion, 94.
So this is in your top 100 then?
It is. Yeah, sorry. This is my 96th favorite movie of all time.
wow.
And I've seen it 7 times, I think now.
7 times?
Well, I watched it in preparation for this, then I watched it again with my daughter and my wife. And so,
Okay, when did you
maybe
first see
6
it?
times.
Because it came out in 2020, so 5 years ago.
I first saw it when it came out. Yeah, when it was first available for streaming. Somebody alerted me of it, and I watched it, and I was shocked. So
Okay, all right. Well, shoot. Well, that's I'll be a little bit, maybe a tiny bit contention here, but not much. A 74.
oh, that's solid.
So that's a solid 74. This was wildly intriguing to me. It was quite enjoyable once you start to think about it more and more and more. The more it sat with me, the more I had questions. And anything that makes me do that makes me dig into the lore of a movie or the world that it's building, the more curious I'm going to get about it. And so I'm going to dig into it. I'm going to watch more breakdown videos. Sadly, this movie's so small that it didn't
There's not
have
a lot out
there's
there.
not a lot out there. So I think that's what's tough is I want to dig more into this world. I would love it to turn into a series or another movie or another film or something to build onto it. But they did a really great job. I mean, I was wildly impressed.
Sweet. 74. We finishing a drink? Nick, are you giving a 74? Ben, what do you got?
I want to tell you,
I don't have much
Brian,
drink left.
you
but
rated Star Wars Last Jedi a 91.
Yep. This is. I like this movie. Star Wars: Last Jedi is not in my top 100.
Okay.
Oh, it's not in your top 100?
I don't think so.
Oh, wow.
That is just so surprising.
What Star Wars is in your top 100?
Episode. So Empire Strikes Back is in my top 20.
I think in all of ours.
And then Star Wars is like in my top 30. So both of those are in my top
All right.
20.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want me to give mine before you
Yeah,
reveal?
sure. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I am going to give this a 63.
Nice.
I really enjoyed a lot of it. I thought they did so much with such little resources. You can tell that they didn't have the huge like budget, but it looks as good as any horror movie that I've seen. The other thing I like about it, the acting is not too bad for an indie film.
A bunch of unknown actors, probably early in their
right. And also the director also shot it, was the cinematographer.
We're going to talk about that in Brian's corner.
we have to.
Yep.
But this is a great teaser for that.
The editor and producer
and the music,
VFX,
and music.
He also worked with his band to create the music, which is
like
wild.
For someone that is wearing so many hats, for it to turn out this well is very good.
That's unheard of. Yeah.
However, the ending for me just really killed it.
That was the audience. That was what the audience said. Yep.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. A little bit.
I tried to look up like what people explained as the ending. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Real quick before you say yours, Nick, I will say you mentioned my top 100. The only movie we've done on this podcast that is above this in my top 100 is Uncut Gems, which is my 77th favorite. So we've done 2 now of my top 100 films.
Yes, I'm doing that.
Okay.
All right. I'm at a, I'm at a 79. It's pretty
shoot. All right.
34 better than Reagan. 34 better than Reagan.
Reagan was terrible.
No. Reagan was Reagan.
Reagan is the benchmark, is Nick's benchmark.
That's
now.
correct.
Yeah.
It is your new benchmark.
You really should just put
79.
better than Reagan, then plus minus. That's honestly, you should make people go back to Reagan.
I know. Watch Reagan. That's a fun episode.
That's a crazy good episode.
So you like the movie?
Yeah. I think Ben and I we're vibing. We're vibing. We're on the same page. I mean, I think I will completely admit a big part of my score is just the low budget, the small crew. I mean, what they were able to pull off with those limited resources is kind of special. I think and that just deserves a lot. I think if this movie cost millions of dollars, my score would have been lower. It wouldn't have been a disaster, but it would have been lower. So I'm just impressed what they were able to do. I also, the ending thing, we'll obviously get into that more, but this is the second time I've seen this movie, and liked it a little bit better the second time, and liked the ending a fair bit better.
Okay.
I would say the ending was the thing that got the most better. The most best?
Yeah,
most
that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
The most best.
The thing that improved the most for you.
Yeah, that's the thing that improved the
Asbestos.
most. I'm supposed to be the word person.
Wordsmith.
Anyway. So yeah, good movie. Liked it.
Nice. All right.
Cool.
So we're all pretty,
Dang.
on the same side of the fence. So it looks like it's going to be us and the critics against the popcorn people. Idiots.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. This is Critical Mess. Critics, audiences don't agree. So let's get into that a little bit. We're going to do critics first, right? Brian, the critic of the critics.
Yeah, we'll
Critics.
jump into the critics. Critic consensus. Well acted and visually striking. Come True offers an eerily effective reminder of how the sleeping subconscious can be fertile ground for horror. Very apt.
Mm-hmm.
Christy Lemire, Film Week, NPR Los Angeles.
No, well,
Shh.
It's too much pressure.
no, just
We all cleared our
take a
throat.
deep breath.
They accomplished so much here, with what I have to imagine was a pretty low budget, just with editing, lighting, and the score.
Wow.
That was good.
Ooh,
that was actually
that was
like a really
nice.
good
That was
NPR
really
voice.
nice.
Yeah, that was
You don't have the headphones on, but it's
Question, how much of your score was the atmosphere?
very atmospheric. Music was a big part of that. All the filters, the nighttime, always at night. Great atmosphere.
Yeah, beautiful. Cinematography in this is actually wildly just beautiful, stunning. I was shocked by how low budget the film turned out, and they did everything with it. So
I tried to find out what camera they shot with, and I couldn't find it.
I'm wildly.
iPhone.
I don't know. The depth of field, because they had some really wide angle shots with a lot of depth of field. So I don't know if they used any type
it didn't
of.
look anamorphic.
It didn't. So I don't know if they used some type of post processing to kind of pull that off. But
Yeah, I don't know.
really well done.
Yeah.
Bilge Ibiri, New York Magazine. There are only a couple of jump scares in Anthony Scott Burns' Come True, mild ones at that. But the movie's elusive sense of menace lingers for days, weeks, possibly forever. Did this movie stay with you after you watched it?
So the short answer is yes, but I thought this movie was not quite as menacing as it wanted to be.
Mm.
I feel like it was not quite as scary as it wanted to be.
That's a good word, menacing. I like that word. Interesting.
Yeah.
You feel like they were trying to go for more scary?
Yeah, like
Okay.
they thought they were doing a better job than they were, and they were still doing a pretty good job. Like, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I felt like that kind of didn't. I didn't find this movie scary, really. And
To
that's
me,
okay. Like that wasn't a big deal.
This is a sci-fi first and foremost for me, not a horror. I know that it's made as a horror movie, and it's described by the director as horror, and it's in that genre. But so I would agree with you in that. Well, I would say that this is sci-fi. It's dark. It's dark sci-fi.
Yeah, I think
it's
that's
moody
fair.
and broody
Yeah,
sci-fi.
yeah.
And there are some creepy, scary things, but they never go full in on like. Other than like the leg person, maybe that was like the most horror moment of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of a couple jump scares.
So the question is, so there's a scene during one of the vignettes, one of the dream vignettes, where they're going down like the hall of a hospital, and all of a sudden there's this walking thing, but instead of a torso and head, it's just like 8 more legs.
It actually shows up as a torso first, and then it kind of splits into a bunch
Okay.
of legs that just like crawls.
And
at
like
you.
the
So
music
it's-
hits you with like the string pizzicato, like a spider or whatever, and so it's like a leg spider. I might have made that word up.
Pizzicato.
Yeah, that might be rigatoni. It might be an ingredient. I don't even know. I
It's a
thought
hot pocket.
Yeah.
seems like a musical term, but I could be wrong. Ostinato.
Sorry, I've never heard that word before. It's
Somebody
great.
researched pizzicato. I don't even know what that is, but it's like when they pluck strings on a violin. I know that's not the right word.
It's pizzicato.
Oh,
It's kind of
There you go.
he
He's our
knows.
word
He knows
word guy
music.
now.
Well, he's not just our word guy. He's our music guy. So
Oh, yeah, that's true.
This dude played piano for 2 hours a day at one point in his life,
That is true.
which
for 2 weeks.
that's a lot of your day.
Longer than
I
that.
really respect that.
thank
But
you.
anyway, yes, that's the scene with like the leg spider thing. And so the question, Nick, you actually made me think that I really hadn't thought about that yet. And that's, was it restrained? Was it intentionally not as scary as it could have been, or was it trying to be scarier and couldn't reach that mark? And that might be an unanswerable question, but I think you might be more onto it. I think maybe it was trying
I think
to be.
it was the latter, but I don't. But that didn't really detract a lot.
Sure,
from it.
but it's an interesting concept.
I know this movie was labeled as sci-fi, and I did not watch a trailer. I had no idea what this movie is about. I literally just saw the cover and the come true, the title.
Same for me.
So I went in blind, had no idea. So I think that's the thing. Maybe the trailer was pitching something that was more dramatic, more up. Like
I bet it
wildly
was. If I had to
intense.
imagine, I bet the trailer was throwing those scary scenes.
Yeah,
in there.
and so I think
bet it
that's the
was.
thing that may throw people off, because a lot of audiences will go and watch a trailer because that's how movies are promoted to them. So I think they'll go and see that, and it's promoted one way, and then you go and find a completely different film, and a lot of people will be pissed at that.
Can you imagine how mad like directors are when their movies are mismarketed, and then people go and watch them and get disappointed? Oh,
Yeah.
It's got to be so frustrating.
Well, also this came out in 2020, so like not many people were going
Get
to the
lost
movie
in the
theaters
bunch.
anyway. And the other thing is, I wish I would have been able to see this in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Like
That
this
would've been
this
helpful.
would have changed a lot of what I liked about it. You know what I mean? There were so many seeds where I was like, this is huge, but I can't see anything
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
my shitty TV.
This needs to be seen on a screen. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Agree.
Phil Hood or Hode? HOAD. Probably a typo. And I also didn't write down what publication he was with. So I apologize, Phil, for all of my mistakes.
I bet he's at NPR.
But here's what you said. Drawn along in dark somnambulic rhythms. Fuck. What's that word? Somnambulic? Somnambulic? What's that?
Somnambulic.
Somnambulic.
There's some.
Not even going to try.
This is going to play into one of my marquee messes.
Okay. Drawn along on dark somnambulic rhythms, it incorporates elements of fantasy, horror, and 80s synthwave aesthetics without giving itself over completely to any of them. So I wasn't sure what Phil was saying here. Was he saying that the movie could have veered into just sort of those sort of genre tropes, but instead remained its own thing, remained slightly elevated above, just going straight 80s synthwave or straight? Do you think he's saying that? In which case, do you agree or disagree?
That is, I think that's how I'm interpreting
Okay.
that, and I think that it did have those. It was flavored nicely.
I
With
like
some of
that.
those kind of different genres and subgenres, but it didn't really like own one completely, I guess. And I really did kind of appreciate the, well, I'm sure we'll get deeper into the music, but that synthwave music added a lot to this. But it did not go way over the top with it. It didn't. There weren't a bunch of neon lights, you know, in the movie. You know what I mean? Like it just kind of, you know, it dabbled.
Okay.
Yeah. It didn't lose its tone. I think that's.
Ooh, there you go.
I think that's the thing that I get out of that.
Yeah, I agree.
Nick Allen, RogerEbert.com. Come True wants to be the kind of sci-fi movie that warrants multiple viewings and gain a cult following. It deserves them. Did you have the urge to rewatch it?
I did, because it was so wildly intriguing to like think. As soon as the movie ended, I didn't have that like that immediate, I'm going to look up a lot of information about this, like some other films. I think that's one of the struggles I had with this was like, it didn't intrigue me enough to be like, I'm going to go into deep dive into this film right after I get done with it. But after I sat with it, I thought about it more, and I was like, that is pretty interesting that they kind of pulled this out. And then I can think about, okay, this dream world, this thing, like, how are they building a dream within a dream? Is it similar to like an Inception type thing, or is it something completely different? So I think that the longer I sat with it, the more curious I got. And that's where it came for me to look up more. But
I'd say the first time, yes, and the second time, not as much. The second time, I felt like I kind of grasped it better. I don't know. And it had been a long time since I'd seen it. You know, it had been like a couple of years probably. But I felt like after the second viewing, it clicked better.
Okay.
So for a movie that made 60,000 at the box office, you guys both saw this before this?
I only saw it because he told me to watch it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Back a few years ago. Well, it was like, I think it was like when we first started this podcast, I was hyping it up big time.
Gotcha.
That would have been a couple years ago now. But
How did you hear about it?
I don't remember. One of the YouTube channels I follow, they here's the movies coming out this month on whatever, and it's like it just, I don't know how it popped into my radar. I really wish I could remember, but I just was like, oh, I really want to see that, and yeah, I wish I could. I'll say this: my when I finished this movie, I knew two things. Number one, I loved it, and number two, I wasn't smart enough to understand it, because there was like these title cards throughout the movie, these chapters, I guess, and like all the symbolism. And I remember going, man, I wish I could just know what this movie meant. I wish I knew what all the references were and what all the symbolism was. And so I challenged myself. I thought, you know what? I'm not going to watch any explainers on this. I'm going to figure it out myself. So I watched it again. And I think I really kind of was able to put a lot of the pieces together, but I still, even after that second time, I still went out and did some research, and I was like, oh, I didn't even make that connection. So I'm just not a smart enough person to...
What if it's up for interpretation?
Yeah, I
agree.
Completely ignored those because I didn't want those to navigate what I was watching. And so I think it's just one of those weird things. Like maybe it's a trope in a film where this is this and it has a deeper meaning. I just wanted to figure it out.
And here's the cool thing about those things: you don't have to know what those things are or have anything to do with them.
And I don't think I did.
And you can still love the movie. And then when you find out what those things are, it just adds a little bit of a layer to the movie. But it's not necessary, I don't think. So
those title cards are referring to layers of sleep, right? Is that what it was? Essentially?
Yeah. Well, it's
personality traits too. Yeah.
It's Carl Jung. Psychology.
Yes,
so it's all the we'll just say this. So it's the persona is the first chapter of this movie. The second one is the anima and the animus, which we'll talk about what those mean.
It's different from an enema.
It's for anima.
Correct.
And then is there a marquee mess coming up with it? And then the third one is the shadow, and then the fourth one is the self. So those are the four chapters of the movie, if you will. So anyway, kind of cool. Last one, Michael Ordana, Los Angeles Times. In any genre, a distinct filmmaking voice and clever avoidance of cliches earns a closer look, perhaps even more so in the realm of sci-fi horror. Did this film avoid cliches?
I like that because it did.
Yes.
Yeah, it did nicely. It kind of goes back to that, like the flavoring comment, right? It kind of took a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit, but it never went too all in on one thing. But it did maintain a good tone throughout.
Yeah. Yep.
Nice.
So,
Well put. Yep. I think critics, the summary there is that they appreciated the fact that it was a singular vision from somebody that did not just go one direction, but remained its own kind of identity, and it was well crafted.
Yeah, very. So audiences, a lot of them unnamed, so we'll go right into it. 1 out of 5 stars. This did absolutely nothing for me, with no real drama, suspense, or twist. I felt no connection to the characters. This was super slow and aimless. A big thumbs down from the two in this household that watched it. Trailer makes it look way more intense than it really is. Draggy with a lo-fi 80s soundtrack. Not entertaining in the least, my opinion. But apparently there are some that found it worth their time.
Well, there's definitely a twist. There's a huge twist.
Maybe it's a twist they just didn't expect or didn't understand fully.
I'll be honest, the twist was what killed it for me.
That is so funny.
But there was
Yeah.
one. I mean,
the twist is what elevated
all right,
it.
so there's a couple twists.
Man, that's weird.
There's a couple twists. Do we want to talk about that now?
no. I don't
Okay,
think
we
so.
can't talk about that now.
Yeah.
That's a whole thing we need to unpack,
Yeah.
like in a hot pocket or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah, we'll get into that very soon. But I think that's the hard thing. And there are a couple twists, at least that I saw. There might be more that you can dig into, but I don't know what. Yes, the movie drags. That's a little bit of my feedback. This could have been a little bit more compact.
It could have been shorter. It's a slow burn. I appreciate the slow
Shorter.
burn.
It's an hour and a half.
It's an hour and
No,
45.
It's about
an hour 45.
Yeah, it's an hour 45. It could have cut off
for a-
that
15.
flies by
For
a
a
little
cheap,
bit.
well done sci-fi independent, like I still like.
Yeah.
This is
If you made this for hour 15, hour 20, hour 30 at the most, this could have been way more punchy. It could have been louder. Like
I think it's a better movie at 90 minutes.
I
Unquestionably.
agree.
Yeah,
That's my flip the
absolutely.
script.
I think
Yeah.
90 would have been incredible.
Yeah.
So we'll go on. Half a star from another unknown. I created a Rotten Tomatoes account just to write this to whoever freshly or otherwise gave this a positive review, persuaded me to watch it. Kindly go fuck yourself. P.S. The half star is ironic. So
Wow.
they gave it a 0.
So they wrote a whole paragraph and never said a single thing about the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, good job, you
Right, yeah.
fucking idiot. Next.
So another half star. I will never get that hour and a half back in my life. If I could rate negative stars, I would. Horrible acting, horrible plot, ridiculous and incredibly boring. Please spare yourself from the waste of this time in this movie. All right, we talked about acting, plot,
Yeah, they at least said something about
and
the movie. Yeah.
how boring it was. Yes, we can agree it dragged just a little bit. They could have compressed that, but not by much. Maybe 10, 20 minutes tops.
You got to kind of be
But
in
I
the
feel
right
like-
headspace for this movie in a way.
Yes.
I feel like if you kind of go into this movie wanting something pretty different,
Yeah.
I could see you giving it a really bad review.
And going back to those other two reviews, they talked about the trailer. And I have not watched the
I
trailer.
wonder how
so
much the trailer did a
I
disservice.
can't even imagine. But if this only hit streaming, 2020, no one went to the theater in 2020 when this came out.
Yeah.
So it only saw streaming. So unless you had auto play on the trailer on whatever streaming service it was
Yeah.
on at the time, there's no way you're going to watch that bombastic, loud, more exciting, whatever it is, trailer.
Well, a lot of the views I found were from film festivals. So
Mhm.
this made its
Okay.
round in film festivals,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
I don't know how much of those people are finding, like the critics probably watched it at film festivals,
Yeah.
whereas the
Yeah.
popcorn people probably watched it at home on a streaming service.
Yeah, but all three of those reviews came from 2020 and 2021.
Wow.
So those came from early after this movie came out. These last two came from 2024. So apparently people are recently finding this. So this is I tried to go positive. So 3.5 out of 5 stars for Nova S. Probably one of the more interesting movies about the shadow people.
Ooh.
I don't know how you would describe
The
those,
shadow
but yes,
people.
I would say shadow peoples, the underworld, the darkness of your subconscious, whatever you want to call that. But 3.5 out of 5 stars is strong for the audience
It's
reviews.
respectable.
Another one, 4 out of 5 stars for Bunny. Absolutely great build up, but more confusion than conclusion. I like that.
Mhm.
Visually interesting, but did leave a lot to be desired at the end. Definitely going on the list of films to watch while stoned, though.
Yep.
Are you high, man? What are you looking at? I don't. What's your problem?
I just
Why
I
are
just
you
wanted to see what your
harsh and
opinion was on
mellow?
that last one.
So, and I read a lot. I don't have any specific ones here that I'll read, but I did notice that generally the audience rated this really poorly for 2 reasons. Number one, by far, was the ending.
Yeah.
As soon as that twist came, as soon as that
Yeah.
end came, people either it was very polarizing. People were either like, I loved it, or most of the audience was like, what the fuck, that ruined the whole movie, that was cheap, that was stupid, which, I get that. The other one was, it was boring and nothing happened. So, I just wish that they would be more discerning and they would say, oh, I'm rating this high, but I didn't like it. It wasn't for me, but I recognize that it was a good movie. Because I'm sorry, it's a fucking good movie.
Is it
not,
because the
yeah.
callback wasn't obvious enough for people to be like,
No,
oh, yeah, it's
it's
cool.
not that.
I get that tie back.
It's a trope.
yeah, it
in
was a
my
meme.
opinion.
Yeah.
Like, do you want me to go into why I didn't like the ending?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason I don't like the ending is because it feels like a trope that's in a lot of different movies and TV shows and things where it's just like, it was all a dream. And like, I get that it fits the narrative and I get that it services the plot, but it also is just so cheap and like, and it worsens all of the work that they did, all the plotting and all the like physical movement towards this character or these characters. And then it's like, well, it was all a dream. And
Well,
you're
okay.
like, no, hold on. It wasn't a dream. It was like, if you would have just left it ambiguous, it probably would have been more up for interpretation. But instead you're like, well, you've been asleep for 20 years. Like it just felt very cheap for how hard they worked for the rest of the plot. You know what I mean?
I thought the rest of the plot was all in service of that last frame.
So here's what to me saves it a little bit is that you don't have any idea when the dream starts.
Right.
I guess that to me is like helps a little bit. I don't really disagree with you all that much. I will say when I watched it the second time, it bothered me a lot less for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
But the fact that like that is so ambiguous of like when she actually began the dream, that helps a little bit. But I don't know. I definitely hear you.
My response would be this. It's not like the type of movie like The Wizard of Oz where all the stuff happens and then it's like, oh, it was all just a dream, right?
Right.
My pushback on this is that the entire movie is about sleep and about dreams and about the layers of the
helps.
subconscious.
Yeah, that also
so that's already our subject matter. So for the whole thing to be a
Good
dream,
point.
Subconscious
matches
specifically.
the movie.
Yeah. Right.
I see what you're saying, but like for me, it's like it's not cheap.
But is the whole
But
movie a dream? That's the question.
I think it is.
Is it?
Yes,
very
But
strongly
But I
think it
still
is.
think that's open for interpretation.
And I also agree that it is open for interpretation because they never tell you that.
Right.
That's my interpretation. And I could also see, the whole dream started when she started the sleep study.
Yeah, see, I'm
Or-
not sure I totally agree.
And
Where
I
do
think
you,
that's
should we talk
interesting.
about that, or is it a hot pocket? Where we think the dream started?
I don't know. I think Ryan and I just answered.
Yeah, I mean, we're in it right now. When do you
So
think it
you
started,
think
Gris?
it happened when she started the sleep study?
Yeah, I think that's my best guess.
That's
Yes.
my best guess. Is that
Well,
it started when the sleep study started.
There's another line of thought that says it started when she was in the laundromat and she had that seizure and she lost her phone.
Also could
That's
be,
another.
yeah.
The other is
this-
when she first had sex with the guy. There's also this.
There could also be that one. Yeah. So the only part where she's actually in the coma was like the
From
last
that point,
third of the movie. Yeah.
All right, it's time for the next segment. It is called Flip the Script. Totally butchered that, but hey, Ben didn't. Ben did it. Ben did it perfect. Okay, this is the segment where if we gave the film a good review, we talk about what we didn't like and vice versa. I'll get us started here. We all like this movie, so we're going to talk some shit about this movie. It doesn't even feel good. It doesn't feel good. It's just this indie movie, 5 people. I don't want to say anything bad.
Well, we're not shitting on it. We're just saying, what we'd change if we made the movie.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
kind of what we're talking about.
Here's something that hasn't come up yet. Boy, this title
what do you got?
sucks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Man, guys.
I wanted to
guys,
talk about that.
Guys.
Because this-
well, our
we're
next
gonna-
segment's going to address that pretty directly.
Okay, good.
But I would just say, geez, Come True is a really bad name for a movie for like 1,000 reasons. It's instantly forgettable, which is the
Ben
biggest
did
reason.
text me and ask if it was spelled C-U-M or C-O-M-E.
Well, Ben would do something.
Ben
like
would.
that.
That's
I did
so
not.
bad.
That's so bad.
I did text him 4 times though, asking him what the name of it was.
So
That's true.
I know it's impossible to
It's
remember.
impossible.
And I
Yeah.
agree that it's not memorable. I think it's a good. It's very apt for the movie. But sometimes this is a case study in why sometimes you might have the most apt name for a movie, but you still shouldn't name it that because it's not memorable. So
Yeah.
that's the problem. Is it's
Yeah,
not
naming
memorable.
something more, we'll talk in subject, but Inception or something that's more unique, more...
Literally, if
kind
they
of-
add dreams come true or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
like,
Even that
just
would have been
one
better.
word to either end of it would have helped me a
Yeah,
little
anything.
bit.
Completely-
Dreamweaver,
Completely
something.
agree. Yeah. I am conflicted. We've touched on this a little bit, but how well this movie pays off, I don't know. Catch me on a different day. I'm kind of like it right now, but maybe not tomorrow. Some of the acting, I thought the 2 leads were good.
Yeah.
I thought the girl and Harry Potter, they were good.
Pim Dargela,
Yeah.
poor man's Daniel
And I
Radcliffe,
liked-
Jared Leto.
And I liked the guy with the Harry Carey glasses.
Yeah, he was good.
Yeah,
Oh,
he was
yeah.
You talking about Bricktop?
Bricktop. Yeah. Mhm. Yes.
You talking about Bricktop? Bricktop?
I think like everyone else, which was like 3 other people,
Yeah.
were a little rough. Some of the acting was a little
Yeah.
rough, and that's fine. This is a very low budget movie, but it just some people took me out of the movie. Some people I just was kind of not good acting. And we also maybe touched on this a little bit also, but 10 15 minutes shorter. I'll take
Yeah.
it. There's a lot of just slow camera moves. It's a slow burn. I like a slow burn, but it gets a little too slow from time to time.
He did say that there was a director's cut that was longer.
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Awesome. I won't be watching that.
Unless there's like new music in
Does
it,
it
you know.
exist? Yeah,
music could be
exactly.
enticing. But yeah, that's pretty much what I didn't like.
Yeah, I think the big one for me is the timing was tough. Like how long and drawn out some of the scenes were. You didn't need to have that. I mean, I loved and I ate up the cinematography in this. I mean, we can get into that later. But beautifully shot film. I think the hard part is it just stretched on those scenes way too long. Again, you could drop, I think 15, 20, maybe 25 minutes off this movie, make it a lot more efficient. Acting was rough. I think there were way too many characters in this small of a film. They could have cut that down and you would have removed a lot of those bad actors or bad moments where they were just like weird scenes or they were weird comments by weird like actors you didn't care about. And then the other is I wish the payoff was just a little bit more obvious. I think that would have drove a little bit more for the audience side. I know that I talked about it earlier, but just the whole concept of tying it to like the whole 20-year thing. And like you see the therapy session, she's the youngest by far. And then everybody else is much older in the audience or than the room that they're having the therapy session about. And then the whole sleep study idea is interesting, but that killed it. And then the vampire teeth, I think I caught it, but I don't think most people would catch it. So maybe if there was a little bit more of a tie-in to the main male character's background to show why he was dreaming about those things or what brought that up, other than just maybe a grainy video that they showed of her and him with teeth and glasses and like the whole fun, like their relationship thing. But
so you want a more of an explicit.
I just wish it was a little bit more obvious. I think it would have been more widely interesting to see it just a little bit more in your face, or not in your face, but a little bit more obvious, just so you have a bigger payoff. Because I think that's the thing that held me from thinking about this movie right as it ended. Like Interstellar, immediately after the movie ended, I'm like, what the F was that about? Like, I'm gonna read all kinds of things about this, that, and this. And I think that's the hard thing about this is I didn't think that. It took me a little longer to think on it. I think there was a little bit more direct access to that. I would have thought about it more.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just in case you forgot, we're in the Flip the Script segment. I really loved this movie, and there was very little about the movie that I did not like. And I'm really grasping here, but I do think the movie could have been 10 to 15 minutes shorter. And I'm not saying that the pacing was off. I loved the pacing, but there was a couple times where, the walking was too slow. Let's walk a little faster. And I love the fact that was intentional and that the movie had a lot of space for you to think.
It would have
about
added
what
to the
was happening.
suspense of it. Like each one of those scenes would have been just cut down a little bit. It would have added to the.
You're saying like if I agree with you. And I'll say this, and this is kind of a little teaser for Brian's Corner, but I wonder if it's good to have the director edit their own movie, because maybe a fresh pair of eyes and a fresh editor would have said this is a little bit too long. Yeah, I'm not saying that I don't think Anthony Scott Burns should have edited the movie, because he did a phenomenal job. I think the editing is really, really great. But if I had to pick something that is the reason this movie's not 100 for me, it just drug on a little bit too long in certain spaces. But I honestly cannot think of anything else about the movie that I didn't like. So that's my flip.
In a lot of his interviews, he talked about Lynch being a very influential person.
And Lynch has actually, you're right. This had Lynch kind of pacing to it. Yeah. Long scenes,
very long scenes where he just doesn't. He's plotting. And,
he also mentioned Romero as a.
You saw the T-shirt she wore, right? It said Romero physical education during the original psych, or maybe it was after her first sleep study, and she was like kind of happy, but she had the Romero physical education shirt on.
Oh yeah,
it's great.
He mentioned Hitchcock, Romero, and Lynch as strong inspirations, and that's pretty high praise. That's good ilk. So. I flipped. We flipped.
I'm really enjoying this popcorn.
We're all flipped.
I have to get back to my job here, though.
Do you want to explain where we got the popcorn?
With the popcorn, just came to us.
Yeah.
And it's delicious because it's real popcorn. It's not that microwave bullshit.
Yeah.
This is some real popcorn.
Is this air popped, or is this like? Oh, don't reveal your secrets.
Trade secret.
I get it.
It's delicious. I'm not going to chew it into the microphone though.
Thank you.
Do you want me to take over?
No, we're good. Okay, back to my job. This has been the end of Flip the Script.
Sorry, I tried to time it with your hand gesture, and
I have to remember that there's the then it takes a second. I'm getting way too.
Listen to it throughout the week every day.
I will. We'll get it. We'll get it.
Yeah,
Ben and I we're on the same page. Okay. Now it's time for our newest segment, our greatest segment. No, it's not our greatest segment,
Newest.
but It's
I mean, Hot Pocket. Come on.
Hot Pocket's the greatest segment.
Yeah.
Our second greatest segment. It's called Marquee Mess.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Wow, Grandma cooks some popcorn.
It's the segment where we rename the film.
Yeah.
The segment where we rename the film. Yeah. I have a few tonight. I'll get us started. I didn't really. This is a hard one to go for humor.
I know.
I just didn't really have a lot of. I got a lot of sleep stuff. Not a lot of humor. But anyways, we'll get us started here. How about just sleeper? The film's kind of a sleeper.
Ooh, I like that. It's a double.
Yeah, slow burn. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, a bit of a sleeper.
Still
That's
more
good.
memorable.
Well, I'll play off of that. One-eyed sleeper creeper.
Okay.
That's what I call mine. No, go ahead.
I'll play off of that. One-eyed sleeper creeper people eater. Wait, no, I'm just kidding. I had a whole category of serious things that I would rename the film because I too agree that Come True, while it's not one of the worst episode
memorable,
titles that we've done, it's just not quite memorable enough for me. But try as I might, I could not come up with a better name. I kept thinking, oh, that's a good name, and then I would think about, no, that's not good. So I just went for humor. They may not be funny. The first one is Awakenings 2. Welcome to the Jungle.
I get it.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool.
No, I like that. That was good. Young. He's referencing Young. This is the name of a Weezer song, Only in Dreams.
Oh, that's a great song.
Yeah, I love
Second
that
best
song.
on that album.
Not going to agree with that.
Fourth
but
best.
There's not a bad song on that.
There's really not a bad song on the Blue Album. That's a good point.
Yeah.
That was a test, and you passed.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. I mean, it's only the greatest rock album of all time. Moving on.
I agree.
Dookie,
maybe.
Dead or Alive with a question mark?
Okay.
Yeah.
The Imaginarium of Dr. Sleep Paralysis.
Nice. How about The Somnambulist? 9/8 Central this week on Fox.
Is that on after the Ambrosilist or before?
It's definitely it's late night.
It is
after
late,
the Ambrosilist at night.
Yeah, it's 11:30.
Yeah.
That's great. That's perfect.
Somnambulist.
It's pretty good. All right.
Oh,
what
me?
you got? Yeah.
The Imaginarium of Dr. Big Glasses.
Yes, I did those glasses. Yeah, Harry Carey glasses.
I love it. Inception Junior.
This movie was far superior to Inception.
Oh. Dang.
This movie was at least 60,
Inception hater.
60 points better than Inception.
Wow.
At least.
Somebody's pissed off out there.
Yeah,
One of you
kidding.
guys is like,
Somebody doesn't
how
like
dare
Inception."
he?
Inception fucking sucks.
Wow.
Please don't unsubscribe. Damn, we're probably down to 61 now.
And I actually just looked it up like today because this movie kind of is like Inception in some way. And I looked it up on Rotten Tomatoes. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was like high 80s, low 90s for critic audience scores. It was like 89, 93 or something like that. And I was just like, what the fuck is wrong with
That
people?
DiCaprio.
Anyway,
effect.
I mean,
I love Inception.
I kind of liked it too. I'm sorry.
Gosh,
I haven't watched it in a while.
No,
but
I'm the only one that thinks it sucks.
I can
No, you're not. No, you're not.
No,
I
you're
don't
not.
know anyone else.
No, you're not. I've actually met a lot of other people that have said
There are
that.
dozens of
Surprisingly
you.
to me.
Right, yeah, apparently.
I think Come True is the better movie.
Yes. Oh yeah,
Definitely.
for sure.
It's like not even
I would
close.
rather watch this in Inception.
How about The Big Sleep? That's actually a Humphrey Bogart movie, but
Yeah,
hey.
Big Sleep.
Nice.
I thought
Yeah,
about
way
that.
to take
for
that.
me.
Yeah.
Enema Enigma.
What?
Because of the whole titling of Enigma or whatever it was.
Why don't we just leave that there?
So random. Yeah, we'll just move on.
Because of the title cards.
But Anima
Yes, I
and
know.
Animus,
Yes. Yeah. Playing off
not
of that.
Enema. But okay.
You don't know playing off of.
But there was nothing in the. There was no Enema references in the movie, were there?
But it was just
Not
like
one
you're reading
booty
those
We
words.
should have left it there, like Nick said. All right, my last one. Fanging and banging. I channeled my.
That's kind of like sniping and piping.
I channeled my inner Nick. I channeled my inner Nick on that one.
yeah. Enemy at the Gates, one of our classic.
Yeah,
classic
check out
episodes.
Enemy at the Gates. Yeah. It
Which
spawned,
really-
it spawned a
It
sound
should have
effect.
been called sniping and piping. That was
Sniping and
that
Piping
was
would've been really good.
better name.
That was good.
All right, I just have a few more. Night Night. Sleepover, which actually I think is kind of fun because she's kind of oversleeping a little too much.
Sleep was great.
And
And it's not at her house.
right there you go.
See?
It's so good. Anything is better than Come True. Dream On.
Mm-hmm.
Dreams keep going. Shut Eye now. Lights out. No, a lot of cliches. How about 20 winks? You know, you usually get 40, but it's 20 years.
20 winks.
And she's
Okay.
not even sleeping that good.
There you go.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
20 winks.
I had in my series category that I deleted, I had the mind's eyes.
Mhm.
You know, so I feel like that's better than some of yours.
Yeah. No, that's fair. Yeah. No, those
are good. That's good. Okay, we did it. We renamed
All
it.
better than come true.
Every single title that was suggested was better than
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
actual title
Agreed.
of this film.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Yippee-ki-yay indeed. This is Critical Mass. And as you know, we're sponsored by Old Elk.
Mhm.
But Old Elk, you know who's hot on your heels? Four Roses.
Four Roses.
Ooh.
And I believe Brian's already calling it buttery. I don't know.
Hey, that's producer Ben called it buttery. And
Well,
dang.
I think I'm going to start calling it Peerless. I don't know if...
I
Old
will
Elk,
say
Old
though,
Elk, send us a bottle, okay? Come on.
We are waiting.
we are
Old
waiting.
Elk is owned by like a single person, and Four Roses is owned by a foreign conglomerate.
Old Elk's
So-
way better.
That might
Fuck
be why
Four
I was.
Roses. Fuck you, Four
I'll
Roses.
tell you, Four Roses in my mind is delicious, but it is not as good.
Whoever
as Old
gives
Elk.
us more free whiskey is who we like.
Yes.
better.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old Elk, if you will, is the come true of whiskeys, and Four Roses is the marvel. Is the inception of whiskeys.
yeah, I like that.
You know,
I like
one guy
Okay,
versus.
I can see that.
Big studio versus
Mhm.
little.
Also brought to you by the Embroidered List on 8 Central this fall on CBS. Zachary Quinto, Anna Kendrick, Ted Danson. We didn't even really talk about it. It's about a whiskey connoisseur, well, bourbon
yeah.
connoisseur.
Bourbon.
He's hunting Bigfoot. He's kind of hunting him in a hot air balloon. It's intense.
It's a high octane show.
It is indeed high octane. So check it out, 9 Central this fall
NBC.
on CBS.
What?
Yeah, it's on both.
Wait,
It's on all
Okay, CBS and NBC.
all
Got
of
it.
them. Okay, now it is time for Tharks. We're going to very quickly talk about themes and arcs.
Themes and arcs. Well, we kind of have been talking about themes a lot throughout the episode, and we probably will continue to do so. So we don't need to belabor that here, but we'll just point out some, I think, strong themes going on here. What is consciousness, and how many layers are there? So the interesting thing is she's in a coma, and inside of her coma, she's both awake and asleep. So are there layers of consciousness? Kind of an interesting thought. Why do we dream? Do dreams have meaning? All of her dreams have representations of the real world. So when she's dreaming in this movie, she's actually closer to her being awake self because she's sort of connecting. Her subconscious is connecting with a lot of those cues. She sees the lights shine down into the hallways, which we're supposed to assume are like the doctors shining lights into her eyes. We're seeing hospital type things, hospital walls and corridors, and it's like, well, she's clearly in a coma in a hospital. So, but when she's alive, it's just normal life. So I think it's like are the dreams more powerful than your consciousness? And then is there a collective subconscious and a unified fear that all humans have? That's a big one here, especially listening to some of the director's interviews. He talks about that as well, and. We get that really kind of creepy part of the movie where sort of the shadow, those shadow figures meld and are in multiple people's dreams at once. So do we all get to the same fear? Now, I get that this whole thing is just within her head. So,
I mean, there's the theory that people have similar dreams. I've looked up dreams before, and there are people that have similar dreams. So I think there's a really interesting, wildly intriguing, concept to that.
Yeah, the unified human fear. It's just something we're connected somehow. I mean, what subconscious is a really interesting concept.
in one of the interviews, he did talk about how there have been studies about collective dreams.
Yeah.
And about how people sleeping close in proximity sometimes have collective dreams.
Oh, it's freaky.
And they can measure it now with brain waves and brain activity.
Wow, that's
which
cool.
is crazy.
The last one I had, which kind of veers from those, is so remember how she hates Pim D'Argelo so much because he's like this creep who like was following her, and then she finds out that he has been watching her sleep, and so he's just this scoundrel to her, just this disgusting person, and it's like, how is she? What's ever going to cause her to actually like this guy, let alone fall in love with him?
I think that's what's interesting is I think he is the personification where if you think of the whole film as a dream, or very early on, but she's in a dream sequence. I think he is the visualization of her subconscious in what she fears most.
So I'm out of popcorn, so Tharks is over.
you like it?
You like it?
But Gris, you were really on one, man.
I was trying. We just missed it.
No, I think we got it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we did.
We'll let you cook. Let you cook a little bit.
A little bit.
Okay. Now it's time for a special place with its own song. Da-na-na-na-na-na.
Hey everybody, welcome to Brian's Corner. We got popcorn tonight, motherfucker.
And is it good?
Guess what? The guy who made this movie not only directed it, but he wrote it and edited it. And I'll tell you all the other things he did, but not right now, because I'm going to compare it to other one-man army filmmakers.
Ooh.
So we're going to look at a quick list here of any time a not completely obscure movie, because I'm sure there's examples out there where it's one guy made the entire thing. We're talking about, studio releases, theatrical releases.
Sure.
I hope our boy Zoller's on there.
No.
What?
It could be an omission on my part. Let's look it up.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Here's why he might not be on there. Is because I only looked at movies where the director did 4 major roles or more in the movie. There's a lot of 3s. Quentin Tarantino, a lot of 3s.
Was Zoller only 3? Wrote, directed, music.
Yeah.
Did he maybe not do the editing?
He didn't
or
come up on the
cinematography?
list. So.
Okay, maybe you're. Yeah, okay,
but I
fair
would
enough.
love to fact check that, because Zoller is one of my favorite directors, and I would love to put him on this list. So real quick, we'll look at the list of directors who have had 4 roles in a movie. The first category here is when the director was the director, the writer, the producer, and an actor in the movie. And that'd be Citizen Kane, Orson Welles, A Star is Born, Bradley Cooper, and Jojo Rabbit, Taika Waititi.
Boy, Waititi.
Jojo Rabbit.
Let's do it.
Right here, representation. And then we'll look at when a slightly different group here. These people directed, wrote, produced, and they didn't act in the movie, but they edited their own movie. Okay, this is a little bit longer, but we got Pi by Darren Aronofsky, Nomadland by Chloe Zhao, Gravity, Alfonso Cuarón, Boyhood, Richard Linklater, Children of Men, another Alfonso Cuarón, Anora, Sean Baker. Oh, Anora made the list. Yes, Sean Baker's a legend.
And he won Oscars for all
Fucking
of them.
won all 4 of them.
4 of them.
Broke records, this dude. And he also, for Red Rocket, you guys seen Red Rocket, Sean Baker. So good.
That's in my opinion, that's his best movie.
It's funny. It's so funny.
It's good.
Director, writer, producer, editor. So yeah, those are your groups of 4. Oh, we also have a couple guys who were director, writer, editor, and cinematographer.
Damn.
Slightly different
That's
list.
impressive.
Steven Soderbergh for Solaris. And then Gaspar Noé for Climax. I don't know if you've seen any Gaspar Noé movies, but talk about a fucked up mind. Talk about a brilliant fucked up mind. I love his stuff. And then the last group of 4 roles here are guys who, I won't say guys because there's girls on the list too, people who have directed, wrote, produced, and did the VFX of the movie. And that is 2001: A Space Odyssey, Stanley Kubrick, and The Terminator, James Cameron.
Nice.
Now, they did not only do VFX, but they had very primary roles in VFX.
So 20 years apart.
Did you catch the posters?
Oh yeah, it's a
them?
Hot Pocket.
Sorry.
Yes. Oh yeah, Ben.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. I can't wait to talk about this. Yeah. A much shorter list. People who have had 5 roles in a movie. So this first list these are directors who directed, wrote, produced,
caterer,
edited, and cinematography. So we're doing it all here. We got Sean Baker makes the list a 3rd time for Tangerine.
Damn, Sean Baker. Nice
first
work.
Feature. And then Gaspar Noé for Enter the Void. Christopher Nolan makes the list. His first film, Following. Paranormal Activity. Oren Peli. We did an episode on that. I challenge you to find it.
Good luck.
Yeah, good luck finding that one.
And then Alfonso Cuarón again makes the list with Roma, which I believe won Best Picture that year.
did. Black and white.
Slightly different 5 roles. Kevin Smith for Clerks. He was director, writer, actor, producer, editor. So he's the only one with 5 roles where he acted in it. Actually, no, he's not the only one. This next one, which is a sleeper, guys. You ever seen Buffalo 66?
Yes.
Yeah.
I actually did see
Good
that.
movie.
No.
Vincent Gallo, he directed it, wrote it, acted in it, produced it, and was the composer. That's kind of a cool group. And we just have a couple more here because we just went into the 6 roles category. 6 major roles in a movie. And these are interesting here. One of them, the other 2, yeah. First one here, David Lynch, Eraserhead. He And he directed it, wrote it, edited it, produced it, was a production designer, and did the sound design.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, and good movie.
Good movie. Next one here, he was the director, writer, editor, producer. Same four as David Lynch, but then cinematographer and sound editor. One person did all of these things. Like, how do you know how to do all that shit? Robert Rodriguez for El Mariachi.
Wow.
I don't like Robert Rodriguez, but I respect the guy. Okay. And then last, here we go. Come True makes the list. Come True, Anthony Scott Burns. He directed it, wrote it, edited it, was the cinematographer, was the composer, and did all the VFX, which every one of those dream vignettes, I the whole time I was like, are these miniatures? Or is it a mix of miniature and CGI? Are these sets? All VFX, so good. And he and the director did all that shit. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah. It's really impressive.
Guys, there's one more movie on the list. Somebody did 7 things on a movie. And I know, like I said, there's people probably did 50 things. I'm talking about like a motion picture, major motion picture, motion picture. You guys seen Primer?
No.
All right, Primer's on my list. I've not seen it either. 2004. I hear it's one of the most well-respected time travel movies. One of the most thought out time travel movies, and one of the most
Looper.
One of the most confusing ones too.
Yeah.
Well, Shane Gareth, might be Kareth or Gareth. I apologize. Director, writer, producer, editor, composer, cinematographer, and an actor in the movie.
He did it.
So he did it all.
Dang.
So guys, these are the one-man army filmmakers, and I can't wait to go to Hot Pocket. Thanks for joining me in Brian's Corner.
That was fun.
That was a good
like that.
good bit.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
What
This
you
is what
got?
you've all been waiting for.
This is it.
This is it. Where we move to Hot Pocket. This is the segment. Wait. It's got a sound effect. It's got a lot of sound effects. There we go. That's the main one.
That's what I was waiting for.
This is kind of where we talk about whatever the fuck we want to talk about in this fine film. So let's just jump right in with we're just gonna start with some spicy and bold flavors. I feel like we've been laying off the fun stuff. Like, we haven't been ranch blasting enough.
Oh no.
Let's just get right into
There
this.
was very little range blasting last episode.
I know
Yeah, we
Randy is
love
just
ranch in this state.
he just doesn't have much to do right now.
Damn it, Randy.
Well, Randy, we're gonna get you some work.
What was the name of our spice guy again?
I thought it was Randy. Wasn't
Randy.
it?
No. Who was our ranch blaster guy then?
Range blaster guy was Randy.
Bilbo.
No, a spice guy.
Greg.
He had like a Mexican name. It was like, remember? You were like, his name's probably the spice guy.
Ranchero.
Yeah, was it Jorge?
I think it might have been Jorge.
No, I don't think that was right. We'll have to go back and listen. Anyway,
Yeah, Antonio.
let's ranch blast stuff. Go.
Okay. All right. No. Well, okay. This could be ranch blasted. We're gonna start with a sriracha steak.
Oh.
Yeah.
I approve.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Brian, this one goes right to you. I alluded to this earlier, but the only reason I ever watched this movie was because of you. I remember coming into work one day, and it was back when we kind of had our desks right next to each other.
Yeah. It was
good
back
old
then.
days.
That's right. It was back then. Yeah.
It was back
When
when
you
we
had desks?
when we had jobs.
Yep. We were employed.
When you had desks.
We were employed.
And now we just do this full time.
This is it.
We're doing really
Please,
well.
this is full time. We need your
Please
support.
subscribe.
Go subscribe.
Please subscribe.
We need this more than ever.
We did it so bad. But we did used to get paid for other stuff. And
I'm still employed.
Writer,
sorry,
designer,
Producer's employed. He's our anchor.
I misspoke. We used
Writer,
we used
designer,
to get paid.
developer.
That's the end of that
Yeah.
sentence.
Yep.
And I remember Brian coming in one day and just really raving about this film. And I would take Brian's recommendations. You know, I didn't take all of them, but I took a lot of them. And this was one of the ones where, like, I was so like if I didn't watch this, you were going to come in the next week and be like, dude,
gosh.
I'm moving desks.
Did I lay it in that? I lay it on that thick.
Yeah,
I need
lay it
to
on
chill
thick.
out a
You
little
kind of
bit.
obligated me to watch this
God
film.
dang
No,
it.
but I'm glad you did, because I'll say I liked it the first time I saw it, and I liked it even more the second time I saw it. So it was a good recommendation. But I just vividly remember, like, you know, you are the reason this movie exists to me.
Oh, right. I remember that too. And I feel like right around that time I recommended Upgrade to you as well.
You did, and boy,
That was
I like Upgrade even more than
Yeah,
I
that's
like
a great
this movie.
one.
Upgrade is a true underrated show. I'd say it's the best Blumhouse movie.
I love when we
Except
talk
for
about
fucking Whiplash. Damn it.
Yeah, Whiplash is-
Whiplash is so good.
except for Whiplash. But after Whiplash, there's not a better
Whiplash
one.
is really high in my top 100.
Isn't it
Same.
funny that the two best Blumhouse movies aren't horror movies? Anyways,
That is kind of
That
funny.
is kind of
isn't
crazy.
that weird?
Especially for how many horror movies they make.
It's like 90%,
Right.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
Well, Blumhouse, do other stuff.
I mean,
good.
Whiplash is kind of a horror movie.
I
But
could
we'll-
see
we'll
that
talk
kind of
about that in a
argument.
different-
Yeah. Okay. So that was our sriracha steak.
Sriracha
Thank you, Brian, for that sriracha steak.
My pleasure.
Now we're going to move on to another steak, Hot Pocket. Still kind of spicy. It's a jalapeno steak and cheese. And what's the cheese with the steak? Do we know?
Monterey.
Pepper Jack, remember?
Pepper Jack.
Remember we said no one ever said they didn't like Pepper Jack?
Right.
I always
and
get it on my
lived
Chick-fil-A
to tell the
sandwich.
tale.
Yeah, I always keep it on my Chick-fil-A.
That's right. You said that. Man.
And let's
Always.
go. I do want to dig in a little bit more to the music, or into the
Please.
music.
We haven't talked about it enough.
The music is excellent in this movie. I think it is truly. We talked about atmosphere earlier being so important, and the music is really to me. It's what makes the atmosphere. It is the most important element of making the atmosphere in this movie. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into atmosphere, but the music here is the key to me. And the music is. It does kind of have that. Brian, I think I actually remember when you were pitching this movie to me originally. You said it kind of had you kind of felt like it was a little bit like Drive. Like in the way that kind of how the music sort of carried the atmosphere, in a way, and I see that it's different, but it's the same kind of thing going on, and the sort of the style of music is overlapping somewhat.
Well, I probably made that connection because Electric Youth did the main song for Drive, which was Hero.
Sure.
And then, or whatever it's called, a real human being, or whatever it's called. And then Electric Youth did a couple of songs for this. That actually Pilot Priest is who the director of this movie goes as in his music, and he remixed two Electric Youth songs. Modern Fears, I think, is one of them, and I can't remember the name of the other one, but he remixed so you can actually listen to those songs on their albums, then they sound totally different. He remixed them for the movie, and then he also did the rest of the soundtrack. So that's probably the connection was I had just discovered Electric Youth and noticed that they were in both movies.
Yeah. That
But
makes
also,
sense. But
it is very similar,
obviously.
very synthy, and very, very similar, and dark, and beautiful.
And really just kind of complements the scenes really nicely. Like when the tension's supposed to be rising, the music is rising nicely. Like it really just correlates well to what's happening.
The crescendo
on
at the end when she's looking in the mirror and it goes to the phone. Great.
You know what, guys? I'm gonna go ahead and raise my score. Just strictly for the music. I already gave it enough points for the music, but damn it killed it on the music on this.
Come up to the 80s.
I'm a sucker.
Come up to the 80s. Come up to the 80s.
I'm at
we
74.
Got the 80s, the synth. Oh, I thought you were 79.
I'm at
Never
74.
Mind.
No.
Oh, that's right. Okay. You
I'm gonna come up.
You don't have to go to the 80s.
I'm gonna come up 5 points to match Nick at 79.
Does that mean we have to?
I don't know if we need to finish our drinks.
I don't think it.
But
my drink's already done.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, that means you got to pour another
But
one.
we're gonna match at 79 because I will add an extra 5 points. I already had probably 5+ points to just the music in this because it's got that orchestral, like it's so beautiful, and then orchestral. Sorry, and then just the way it builds, and it has like that EDM, the electronic like build up, and it like hits you, and like oh man, I just absolutely
very good.
love
And
it.
hearing how intentional, like hearing from the director afterwards and watching some of his interviews about how important the music, because knowing he's a music guy, the music was so intentional and important. He actually made a very interesting statement in one of his interviews, and he said, "You can have an amazing movie and ruin it with a bad soundtrack." So like
true.
if you take a movie that already has a soundtrack and put a different one to it, you can ruin it. And I think so he's highlighting how important the music is, which is very apropos for your 5-point raise.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yep.
I love it.
I'll put it up for that.
I love that.
All right. So we're going to stay spicy here. We're going to go with the fiery chorizo queso fundito.
I mean, chorizo. You had me chorizo. I mean, come on.
I mean, I kind of want...
Fundito.
Yeah, you heard right, Ben.
Wow.
And I'm just, my mouth's watering right now. Sounds delicious. That fundito. So Ben, you kind of talked about earlier what a cliche it was to kind of, it's all a dream. It's all a dream. I want to kind of talk about another cliche that I remember reading in a screenwriting book. It's something this movie violates.
Okay.
Very blatantly. And it's you never start a movie with someone waking up.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I remember explicitly reading that in a screenwriting book many years ago. And this, well, that's not like the first shot of the film. The film,
Well, I mean, it has that little vignette, but it's like the first like live action thing.
When
you
was
saw.
that book
Yeah.
written?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A while ago. I don't know.
1873.
Yeah.
But I just thought that was interesting that like, that is sort of like the ultimate cliche starting of a film.
Can you briefly give like a rationale behind why that is?
Well, I just think it's because so many movies and TV shows have done it.
So it's just it's overdone.
It's
just
overdone.
Way
overdone.
Gotcha. Yeah,
I think
and
like
it's a natural. It's such a natural start.
Sure, that
waking
makes
up.
fair.
It's a start.
The start of a new day. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, anyways, this movie kind of violates. It didn't bother me that much, but I just thought that was kind of interesting that it sort of directly violated a screenwriting rule that I read once.
Interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Buffalo style chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo style chicken. So I want to talk a little bit about those title cards. I thought they were. I don't know. I am a little back and forth on these title cards. I thought they were a little pretentious.
That was the first thing that came to me. Was
Yeah.
let's put things on
I
here
told
that
you
make
that
us seem
during
smart.
the Tharks, like I didn't like those. I tried not to pay attention to them to see if the film could lead me to where it needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like, okay, but I did try and like assign meaning to them. And the one that I thought, and I don't know if this is right or not, but Gris has already talked about the enema a few times.
Right.
And we're not going to talk about, we're talking about the anima.
Yeah.
Anima.
Yep.
And animus. Right. And if you kind of, know what
Anima,
those two
animus.
words mean.
I don't.
I don't. Can
It
you
makes
explain
a
that?
lot of
them
sense.
because I had
Yeah, it
no
makes a lot of sense.
idea what
So
they
in
meant.
the sort of the Jungian
Mhm.
philosophy, the idea of anima, it's sort of like the irrational part of the soul or mind. So like, it's a sort of idish, I guess, if we're talking psychology here. But yeah, it's the sort of irrational part of what the soul wants. And animus is actually a word that has sort of two different meanings. It can mean like anger, sort of, or it can also mean like sort of like motivation to do something. So the idea that anima and animus is maybe sort of the idea that, something is giving the irrational part of our protagonist's soul motivation to do something. And actually, so the way I thought about this was actually, I'm sorry, I said that a little bit wrong. Not our protagonist. I saw this as sort of Harry Potter's character, because this is what was happening in the film at the time. He kind of got, because he was seeing he was in love with her, right? Sort of somewhat irrationally, but he probably saw something in her dream that made him love her more or want to be with her more. Maybe he wanted to save her or, protect her, or he was just interested in what he was seeing. I'm not quite sure what it was, but somehow sort of that irrational part of his soul or being kind of had this, was given this motivation to act and to kind of go after her and try and make her his partner. Getting very deep into the weeds.
I'm in
here
because
right now.
I've got my own thoughts on these as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So once again, that could be totally wrong. That could be a totally wrong.
I think it's right.
It might be. I mean, that was,
But I think there's more angles too.
I think there certainly there are. So anyways, we're talking about just kind of the title cards. Which for the record, I think is like a classy thing to do. What's the Sting? We talked about the Sting on our top one.
I love
Sting is like
those.
It's on Netflix now. I got to watch it.
Yeah,
ultimate.
check it out, man.
Perfect
It's
title
leaving
card.
soon, so get.
I got it.
Please,
Yeah. All right.
please.
I'm gonna
I'll bring in the DVD for you. Yes, and you know what a DVD
No,
is, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right.
Can I give my thoughts on the title cards?
Please.
Yeah.
So you've got the persona, the anima and the animus, the shadow, and the self. So the persona in Jungian psychology is sort of the image of yourself you put out to the world. So it's sort of your external facing part of yourself. The anima and the animus, yes, similar to what you're saying, but I think there's also the anima is the sort of feminine part of a male's brain, and the animus is the masculine part of the female brain. And the shadow, I didn't do a lot of research into the shadow. So forgive my ignorance. But then the self is sort of when you fully become yourself, and to do that, you have to, according to Jung psychology, you have to kill off the anima or the animus to become yourself, right? So it matches the beats of the movie. So the persona, she's sort of we're sort of seeing who she is to the outside world, and then you meet Pim Dargelow. And he sort of represents the animus to her. He's the masculine part of her, because this is all in her coma. So he's the masculine part of her identity. And then
interesting. I didn't really. Okay.
And that at that point in the movie, you meet him and they introduce him. And then the shadow is when they start introducing. I think the shadow represents the unified human fear in Jungian psychology as well.
I think that's the fear is the big thing because I think there's something that's underlying that we maybe don't know or they kind of hinted at with her family history. I think that's what the shadow is, and then she discovers what that is. In
that part of the movie, when the shadow comes out, that's when we start going on the journey of seeing the test subjects and seeing the shadow in their dreams, and then the self is the end where she goes into the coma, sleepwalks, kills the animus to become her true self, which is self.
Is fun because it's him following her now instead of him. He's following her at the beginning as a stalker, and now he's following her as a leader, and I think that's fun.
I didn't think about that. Yeah,
it's super fun.
But and just to balance all that out, at the end, when she kills him, she becomes her true self. She grows the fang. She sees the fangs. She becomes the nightmare. She owns her dreams. She becomes who she really is. So that I think is loosely where those cards tie into the plot points of the movie, but also the concepts behind her psyche.
So the anima is like a feminine. Okay, I didn't see that.
So it's a masculine and feminine thing. So the anima, like if he was having a coma and she was in it, she'd be the anima. But she was having a coma and he was in it. So he represented the animus.
So when I looked this up, it said, well, anyways, about that thing about irrational.
I think there's a lot of interpretation. Stuff
there's a lot.
But again, and that's just one line of psychological, line of thought. So it doesn't mean it's accurate.
Film. It's a deep film.
It's just I respect it because the director was reading that sort of literature and it connected with him and how his dreams work, and he thought, I'm going to create this thing and put it into the world and base it off of the psychology. So So anyway, it becomes less pretentious when you sort of understand, like, oh, these aren't just like these high concepts that they're putting in our faces, and you're realizing, oh, this is a cohesive thing that matches. So I agree. With the first time I watched it, I'm thinking, the fuck? I don't know what that word means. I've never heard that word in my life. Like, what's that supposed to do? But then when you know what they are, you're like, oh, okay.
And not to push this a little bit, it feels like a really elevated version of maybe like an early Nolan. Like when his first film was wildly conceptual. It's very out there. I think that's what's interesting about this. Like, he could be on that track to build this if he can get traction and build on that and go to another film. And
well, it's been 5 years. He needs to.
I know he hasn't done much.
Get on
yet.
this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's tough, man. It's kind of exciting because this is a beautiful, well done film. I still think, yeah.
So, would you guys ranch blast a chicken pot pie?
Oh yeah, I would.
Yeah. So would I.
Have you seen this?
Let's go ahead and do that. And I want to talk about those cute little sleep suits they wear, and that little cap. I like that.
Little cuties.
I like the little cap.
It reminded me of the spaceship on Flight of the Navigator.
They really had to hit that sci-fi.
It reminded me
funky.
of Tron. Felt very,
very Tron. Very Tron.
They borrowed those suits.
But it was just a little cap, and it had like it's so cute. It had little brain grooves in it.
It's perfect.
It was, I like, and once again, these guys are working with fucking no money, so it's like, I think for what they had, it was fine, but it was a little silly.
Continuity,
it was silly, yeah.
Continuity wise, like they kind of touched it very gently in the beginning, and by the end, they were just throwing it on, just like adjusting it.
And it almost kind of made the movie look like she looked like some sort of little like space ranger or something, like the movie didn't like look. It kind of misrepresented the movie in a way, I feel like
I agree with you. I agree.
Full transparency. A good friend of mine, Canadian friend, Martin, at Safe Solvent on Instagram. He's a unbelievable cinematographer, but this reminded me of his short films, which if you guys have not seen this, I think I've sent them to you, but he's entered like small film fests and stuff like that for like small short films. And he has a series for 1 and 2, both shot on iPhone. But it was Sadstronaut. If you guys, Sadstronaut 1 and 2 is on YouTube. I'll try to link it below. But like this movie reminded me of like how low budget, like when it comes to gear, but like high concept, high visual like tier. And that's what it reminded me of.
You can do a lot with a little.
Oh, it's incredible. And I think that I give a lot of credit to him. And like for this filmmaker to kind of hit on that is just low budget, high quality. Like that is a rare feat.
Yeah.
So big props.
Let's go for a beef taco, and I'm going to blast it with something.
Spice?
You got to blast them all.
Yeah. What do you guys want to blast this beef taco with?
Would come true.
Ben wants to blast it with something. He's gonna blast it with some good old fashioned craft ranch. Oh Lord, have mercy on us. Okay,
We're going to hell.
Ben, gonna cut all this out. But we're going to. Oh, could we sriracha blast something? A beef taco? Spice it up?
Sriracha
Yeah, sure, why
beef
not?
taco? Yeah.
Sure. Could you guys sleep in a lab like this?
No.
I probably
No
could.
fucking way.
No
right?
way. Not in a million years.
Not in a billion years. I don't
No.
care what the pay.
I would not
price
be able
point
to
is.
fall asleep.
No. And you're just like on a little medical bed.
Everything's
like,
money're There's a bunch of people
beeping
watching
thing, and you're
you.
wearing this
You
Tron
got a weird
suit.
suit,
No
and a
way.
weird hat. I'm sorry, guys. I can pass
No
the
way.
fuck out anywhere.
I'm jealous. I wish I had
Yeah,
that
I
superpower.
no
Talk
way.
to the popcorn people on the side couch over there. Like I pass out like a vampire. I just cross my arms and just fucking pass the fuck out in less than 5 minutes. If not,
It proves
sooner.
my fact that he's a vampire.
There is rumors out there that I am a vampire.
There have been years of rumors
Oh,
that he's
okay.
a vampire.
Yeah, well over a decade of rumors. Yeah.
I also could pass out.
God bless you guys. I wish I could.
Yeah.
Let's keep it going in this. What were we in? It was beef taco, right?
Ranch blasted
Yeah,
beef
we
taco.
blasted it. You guys, back, side, front sleeper? How do we sleep?
Back.
All,
Back.
Yeah.
Supine.
you start. Yeah. All
Back
all
up,
the
yeah.
above. All
Back-
the above.
All
Back
of the
for
above.
sure.
But Brian,
Oh,
you
wow.
got to pick one.
Yeah. What's your
If I-
how
if
do you
I-
start?
primary?
How do you
What's
start?
prime?
Oh, well, you got to start.
What's Brian
Start
Prime?
on my left side.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Start
Go
on
to the
left
right
side.
side. End up on the back every time. Every time I wake up, it's from the back. So somehow I get there. I
I'm
don't know
like
how.
this, and I wake up out of my coffin.
Oh my god.
Ben, how do you sleep?
I sleep
Standing up.
Yeah, upright but wet.
What are you wet with?
What?
Sweat?
Yeah,
Does anyone
Sure.
sleep like Marty McFly in Back to the Future, where he's got his arm like, you know what I'm talking about? It's like,
Dude,
Oh,
I,
or like-
all right,
Or like how
hey,
Chris Kattan sleeps in
my-
Night at the Roxbury.
I have a couple best friends that fall asleep like that, and one woke up in a medical induced. Like, I mean, his arm was so asleep
Oh,
they
yeah.
had to go to the hospital.
I couldn't do that.
no.
There's no way.
All right, that was fun.
we covered a lot of ground
We
there.
covered
We
a lot.
got
of
a
ground.
lot.
Let's move on to a Reuben. What's in a Reuben? I forget.
Corned beef,
Corned beef,
sauerkraut,
sauerkraut.
Thousand
salt,
Island
pepper.
dressing?
How do we feel about the? Do you think Hot Pocket makes good sauerkraut? Of course they do.
Sure.
Duh.
Oh, they're good at every flavor.
Flown in straight from Germany.
Absolutely. Yeah. They got international touches, you know?
I want to talk about those dream sequences, and you guys seem fairly impressed with them in terms of, especially for the budget and everything. And I don't necessarily disagree. I thought they were okay, but to me, they kind of look like a kind of a cut rate, like a Silent Hill or almost like a Dark Souls. Do you guys play video games?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think this
Talking to nerds.
this
yeah.
this I think especially Silent Hill, I felt major
Silent Hill, yeah.
flavor.
Mhm.
And even it was even kind of had that. It was, Silent Hill's not really a first person game, but the
Yeah.
game, it has that sort of first person perspective in these dream sequences, and you kind of see this nightmarish creatures and their kind of body parts, and especially that sort of like torso with the other torsos all over
Yeah.
it, on top of it. Like that was just a very silent. It felt like almost like
Or
they were ripping off
the
Silent
corpses that were just stuck in the wall by the heads only.
Hill. Yeah. It
that
felt like,
was-
have you guys ever seen the Silent Hill movies?
Yeah.
No.
Really bad.
Yeah,
Like,
they're-
well, unbelievably bad. But they're very
visuals were
similar
accurate to the
vibe.
game though. It was
Yeah,
creepy.
they do some.
For me, it was that, but it also had a unique blend of sort of a superliminal feeling, a very liminal space feeling, where things are uncanny and don't necessarily make sense. And there's a lot of games out there, speaking of video games, like Animaliopolis and the Stanley Parable and Superliminal and Antichamber and all these kind of indie puzzle games that sort of exploit the whole kind of backrooms, phenomenon that happened a couple years ago with liminal spaces. And I got a lot of that vibe in them as well. So I think at least there was that infusion, which gave it that sort of surreal quality.
Yeah.
But I do agree. I think that like it wasn't innovative. It's like, oh, we've kind of seen these
Yeah.
visuals before, but I still think that they were well done.
It was
so.
fun. It didn't like really hurt anything that much, but it just, I don't know. I just very much felt Silent Hill. It went Dark Souls first, and then it moved into Silent Hill.
Yeah, I
Things
think
got
it could,
creepier.
it could creep out most people. Probably not this audience here, but I think it could have creeped people out. And I did respect it because at the beginning I couldn't tell if they were using miniatures, like they
Yeah,
were
it
actually
seemed
zooming
miniatures.
in on small like
Mhm.
handmade models, and like I couldn't tell. But then probably about halfway through they started like it was really heavily okay, that's CG or that's that's computer generated. But I think they did a really good job. I could probably rewatch and like see whether there was more meaning behind a lot of that stuff because there was
a lot of
ropes on the wall.
There was
it
a
was
lot
like
of
a
meaning.
medical building, or it was a home, or it was like a ward at a hospital or whatever. So I think there was probably more there than I could probably.
It definitely was
digested.
not random. It was
Yeah.
very specific stuff, but point taken nonetheless.
Yeah.
Nick.
Let's do a Sloppy Joe Hot Pocket. Do we want to blast that with anything?
Blast it with some, I don't know, cayenne
Some Chipotle?
How about
Chipotle?
let's do a crossover
Ooh.
with Tabasco and blast it with Tabasco.
or some
That
type of
sounds
spicy barbecue.
Delicious.
Mm,
So the Harry Carey guy,
loved him.
he kind of had I want to say he had a little bit of a shady team working for him. So he's got Anita, right? Kind of the main girl.
Okay.
She's doing unauthorized testing.
Yeah.
Showing some pictures, I guess, or some images that she should not have been showing. She was explicitly told not to show. And why did she do that? For her ego? What was her motivation there? And then we've got Harry Potter as just a stalker. Like where does he find these people? I don't know. I just thought his team was a bit shady. And it was kind of interesting how the sort of the medical professionals were like the very, very flawed people. I know this maybe wasn't even in the real world, but
Yeah.
I don't know. That was just kind of usually the doctors and the nurses in films are like really upstanding, perfect people.
I did like how the main guy, the Bricktop, was not like this villain. He was like very serious and very earnest about his work, and it kind of seemed like he was maybe going to be up to no good.
Yeah, it was ambiguous where he would go, kind of. And I, honestly, I wish there would have been a little bit more with him. He was kind of an interesting.
I liked him.
I thought it was awesome. Like I think right off the bat, you guys catch what watch he was wearing?
No.
Oh, no.
Anybody?
Tell us.
Nothing?
No, I
Oh
didn't.
yeah, they had a nice close up on his watch real quick when he was just kind of watching the monitor and his hand was up in screen, but it was a nice little neo vintage 1970s Seiko Dolce. It was just like, and you could just see it ticking, and it was just it was so pretty that he was just and it's a poor man's watch. It's not, it's a rich man's watch in the 70s, but
I'm not surprised it was from the 70s time period though, knowing this movie.
So that's what's fun is like I couldn't tell what timepiece without the phone. I think that was the interesting thing. There were visual cues in this movie that I couldn't tell what timepiece it was in because the homes looked like they were from the 70s, maybe early 80s. Cars were also 70s, 80s.
Posters.
But the only thing that was weird about the dream sequence was the phone. That was the thing that tied in. And I think that was the outside world trying to communicate with her, and she ignored it.
Yeah.
That was her obviously ignoring whatever with the outside, somebody maybe speaking to her while she was in a coma, whatever it was. But I think a lot of those little scenes where it was like a car driving or pulling out of a driveway, pre 1972, 3 driveways. If you'd noticed, the curbs were way smaller, way shorter. Now and then they became larger.
Wow.
So
That's
there's
going
things
deep.
like that where you kind of notice production design. Where if I watch a period piece, if it's pre 1970 something, it better have like accurate. Fincher's big about that. He'll erase those curbs in CG.
He's got a big budget.
Yeah. So I think it's really interesting and wild. Cool. So,
It'd be a good T-shirt. I've got a big budget.
I got a bitch butt.
Chris, can you make that for
I like
us,
it.
please?
I'll add it to the mix.
Okay, one last note about Harry Carey. I love that part when he kind of just walks in, everything's kind of gone to shit. And the riff guy is he's out and he's like kind of just walks into the room. And he's like,
"What's up?
What's going on?"
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. Okay. What do we have next here? Southwest style taco. What makes it Southwest? Anyone want to elaborate?
Corn.
A corn
I don't know.
included.
Peppers,
Delicious.
rice,
Rice.
beans.
I think that's big.
Oh, rice is big.
I think that's big. Okay. I want to talk about the shadow beings, goblins. Man, I kind of go back and forth on these guys. Like, okay, first of all, I just want to give my interpretation of what they are.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And I think what it is it's like people from the real world.
Yeah, I
that
think
are
so.
that are like trying to, whether it's doctors or family that's
A
standing around
representation
her,
of
or right. And it's kind of weird that they're so, that the sort of how they're depicted is so unsettling, as sort of just these shadow figures with these bright eyes. Like it's just weird. And once again, I don't even know that that's accurate. Here's the thing. I thought it would have been much more interesting ultimately if the shadow creatures were like, and just bear with me here, were like a real thing that was like infiltrating the human race through dreams as some sort of like aliens or some sort of other dimensional creatures that had this connection with humans. And this was sort of permeating the whole human race. Like I thought that would have been
that's
a lot.
Cool, that's
I
a cool other
too
movie.
wish
yeah.
that was the reality of this movie. I wish there was a little bit more lore behind like a weird demon reality that they're going to the depths of hell and there were real beings that were haunting people's dreams. But I think they, you know what I mean?
Them
Like
to be like just a more real thing.
Yeah.
Like and almost like even if there was like some cultural, and maybe there is, and I don't know about,
I'm
but
sure
like sort
there
of
is,
precedent
yeah.
of like shadow beings were like a thing, like Bigfoot or like the Loch Ness monster. It's like, and then there's the shadow beings. You know, it's like another kind of lore thing like that, like cultural lore. That just would have made it stronger. I don't know. I didn't.
Yeah.
I'm a little back and forth on the shadow things. I think they didn't quite pay off how I wanted them to. I guess, but that might be okay.
I wish it went that way, but I think it was more of a visual representation of the dark, deep-seated issues that human nature has, and that's what they're digging into.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a great other movie, but this movie's digging into the subconscious and the psyche.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
yeah.
we're not going to get that.
Yeah, I think I'm going both
I get
directions. I could see that being a fun, cool concept, but I also that's what I.
It would have made the movie feel a lot bigger.
It would have been a
like,
bigger movie, a whole different movie, for sure. And I'd love to watch that movie and rate it. But I will say that I think you're right that the shadowy figures represented people in the real world, and I think they were scary because if they did represent somebody in the real world, what that means is that the person thinking and dreaming about them is in a coma, which is fucking scary. So that would be a scary concept, and that's why they presented that way, and that's why she is resistant to them, because anytime she ever gets close to recognizing that she's in a coma, like in the laundromat where you see the shadow figure move behind her, then she has the seizure, and then she passes out, and then she loses her phone, which is the connection to the real world. Her brain creates this story that these boys stole this phone or whatever. It's like that didn't happen. That was just a defense mechanism that her conscious used to keep her protected and safe.
Right.
And so I think that they, the shadowy figures, there may not have been a payoff, but I mean, I guess there was at the end when you saw that the face.
A little bit of a payoff.
Kind of, yeah. I'm glad we at least got to see one of them.
Yeah.
They were
right
creepy
there.
as hell. I mean, that opening shot of them zooming in on like how the head's down all the way, the shoulders are slouched. Like you can just
it was
feel
unsettling.
They felt heavy, like they had all this weight on them. Oh, it's so good.
Have we ever done a pretzel bread variety?
I don't know, but
I feel
want
like
to.
we have.
Okay, well, we're going to do it again, and we're going to go Provo and pepperoni with the pretzel bread. That sounds fucking fire.
That sounds so good.
Damn,
I'm
can
hungry.
I get that
Like that.
right now?
Let's hurry up. I'm hungry.
Jeez, the pretzel bread with the Provo and pep?
Pretzel Provo
sorry.
Prep, the PPP pocket.
The triple P pocket. And here it comes. Okay, I want to talk about the scene. We're getting toward the end of the film where the girl, sorry, what's her name?
Sarah?
Sarah
Yeah.
is watching Riff dream, right? She's back at his apartment. He's kind of strapped into the bed, because he's doing his own thing. And I thought that was just sort of to use one of our most reviled words, beautiful. I thought it was sort of just a beautiful
I loved it.
scene. And the music obviously was so good.
Yeah.
And the way that, the tables are turned, he had been watching her the whole time and dreaming, and then now she's watching him. And then there's that kind of reveal. It's not even that much of a reveal, but something that's still powerful when she sees how he is dreaming of her.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of like you kind of know that's coming, but it kind of doesn't matter.
Everything's
It's still very
sterile and
powerful.
cold, and then that's like that's like the most touching. It's like, we finally get some sort of a connection in this movie.
Yeah. And then the way, and this movie does this a couple times nicely. Also does this with the sex scene, right? Then it kind of, there's something sort of beautiful happening, and then it just really sort of subverts.
Yeah, you're right. Both scenes end badly.
Right.
Because the scene
it's a
you're
good-
talking about where she sees his dreams, he wakes up and has sleep paralysis and sees the shadowy figure. And then the next one, when they're having sex, all of a sudden she sees the shadowy figure.
Both
again.
Right.
Yeah.
Both of them. And then, you're right.
That's what a really good scene in a film will do. It'll start off one way with one set of expectations, and then it'll completely 180. Right.
Yeah,
and
Good
that's
call.
and that this movie does that a couple of times nicely. So I respected that in both cases, and both kind of happened at pivotal points in the film. These are both kind of last act scenes.
Mhm.
So
And I really think, just to reiterate, the music carried them. I think you're right.
Yeah.
The music shined in those scenes.
yep. We'll stick with one more pretzel bread variety. Let's just go cheesy jalapeno. Just a cheesy jalapeno. I don't think there's any meat. Just cheese and peppers.
Cheese.
It's good enough for me.
Just one cheese.
That's whatever you want it to be.
Okay. All right.
And I want to just talk a little bit about cinematography. And because we haven't really talked in much detail about it. So I want to just give a couple of examples of things that I thought were done really, really well. One of my favorite shots in the film was, I want to say it was right around the start of Act 3, where it's kind of after she awakens in the apartment, in Harry Potter's apartment, and then they go out and have breakfast.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's like an outside the building shot. Then it's like, it's the middle of the night and it's pushing in super slow, and they're kind of in the corner of this diner, and it just and there's not much talking happening, and it's just a slow push that it's just a beautiful shot. The way the diner is all lit up in the darkness and the big plate glass windows. It's just a strike. It looks like a painting, It's like a.
There's several moments in the movie where it's like a telephoto exterior shot, right? So that's one of them. They're far away and they're zooming into this building. There's another one where I thought you were going to say where she wakes up and she stands in the window and looks out.
I literally have that right here.
Okay,
too. Yeah,
sorry.
No. There's a couple of those. Yeah, where you're in the exterior pushing in on someone who's inside, and I feel like there's like a bigger message there somehow.
I wonder,
right?
Because every time they show the sleep study building, it's
outside,
like this
looking
brutalist
in.
architecture, and it's always a telephoto. They're like really far away, and it's like a really flat field of vision because you're looking at this very interesting architecture of this building, and it's always different angles of it. So the exterior shots in this movie are like, I wonder if there's more meaning to those.
The cinematography in this film is just absolutely unbelievable. I shoot in a non-traditional way as a photographer, and I think it's funny when people see my work and they don't see the traditionalness of it, and I think people ask questions about how I shoot or why it's shot that way. This film feels very similar to how I shoot. It's not traditional in the 1/3 kind of blocking, where if you broke an image up into 1/3, left, right, top, bottom, where you go, oh, everything's far left or far right or top left or bottom right. It's not like heavy. It's just enough where it feels awkward that you're like, I feel uneasy here. And I think that's what this film feels.
Ooh, interesting.
But also the directionalism of everything is just stunning. I mean, if you rewatch this movie, the blocking, Ben will appreciate this. The blocking of this movie is just gorgeous. I mean, the way there's things in the foreground, the background, and the midground. So it gives a depth. And I think that's what it weirdly, like the way it's shot. I want to know what lens, the camera they used.
That's why I was trying to look it up.
I can't find anything. So like the depth and like showing how the foreground is blurred, the background is tack sharp, whoever the fork is, like whatever the thing is. And there's layers to it, as there's layers to the dream or the life or whatever it is of a person. But the directional thing is I have to talk about is you watch every scene and it looks intentional. The way like the table is angled, it directions to a person or off camera.
Yeah.
Or it like the way the shades are coming, the lights coming in, like they're all directionally to a certain focal point. So you're driven to a certain point
too.
Yeah, the symmetry is just
totally
beautiful. But I think the directional thing of it is just like everything bleeds to a certain focal point. You're immediately you look at one thing and then your eye is bleeding to the next, and it goes to the thing that they want you to look at.
Cool.
And it's
I think as a non-visual person, I was like picking up on some of that, which and it wasn't too much. It wasn't too much though. It was subtle.
And your diner shot was great because it reminds me of the painting by Edward Hopper, Nighthawks.
Nighthawks, yes.
And it's just like that visual of just like everything's perfectly lit. You have the main focus of the characters.
It was
in the
very
diner.
Nighthawks, which is like my favorite painting ever. So
it's beautiful.
That makes a lot of
sense.
sense.
So good.
I do love.
There's actually if you would just there's like a 30-minute. I don't know what it's called, but I watched the most fascinating documentary on that painting.
On the painting?
30-minute documentary. There's
yeah.
so much that goes in that's just about that painting. That
Was it on the YouTube channel Great Art Explained?
It was.
Yeah, it's a great channel.
What a great
Check out
channel.
that channel.
What a
We'll
great
take 'em
channel.
below. Yeah.
Good call, Brian.
But I do
love
love just to go full circle, I do love a really slow zoom in.
Yeah. Now this
From far away.
This
I
movie
love that.
kind of it did a lot of that and a lot of slow pans, and it was like
Some of the pans were too slow.
20% too much. Like
some of the pans were
20% too
It's
much.
tough. It
But
wasn't
it was
enough
still
for me
good.
to notice, but it was.
Once again, cut a few minutes out of this movie. Like,
The zooms
yeah.
were great,
Yeah.
but the pans were like, all right, let's get to what we're panning to.
Yeah. we haven't talked about chicken bacon ranch yet. With the croissant.
Chicken bacon ranch.
With the croissant. With the croissant. With that croissant crust.
Let's talk it.
Let's talk it. I feel like a movie that mostly takes place at night is just immediately like plus 20 points for me. Like I like night movies, and I love the
ambiance,
the blue filters in this movie that they were clearly using that just felt more night like. Man, night movies.
I do love night movies. That's a good Brian's corner.
Yeah, night movies.
The ambiance it
movies.
created. I mean, the atmosphere at the end. I was going to ask Ben about this, but the fog in that last walking scene, how like that felt natural. It felt real. But I mean, it could have been all fake because the way they were walking through it, they weren't walking through it. They were either in front of it.
It all came in at once. It all came in.
It all came in.
Was,
so
fake.
I think that's one of those things where it looked great, but then on the close-ups, you could tell some of that faux fog or whatever it was that they created. So they did a great job of matching that.
Yeah,
so,
it was consistent, which is hard to do with fog.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So let's finish with a couple of breakfast flavors.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Applewood bacon, egg, and cheese. And you could just get bacon and cheese. We got that Applewood.
Applewood.
Does everybody else
That
eat breakfast
Applewood.
for dinner as often as I do?
I have waffles with
sometimes.
peanut butter for dessert
Oh, dang.
after
Delicious. Delicious. Okay. Ben, you teased this earlier. Anita,
Mm-hmm.
she had a movie poster in her office
There
right
were-
above
there-
the desk.
There were 2 movie posters.
There were two.
Yeah.
Well, my eye was only attracted to the one that mattered.
Just the one, the T2.
Yeah.
dinner. No, it was original Terminator.
Oh,
wasn't
the
it?
original Terminator. Sorry.
Wasn't it?
Terminator.
No, it was T2.
Am I
No,
wrong?
T2.
Am I
I
wrong?
think it was
It was
T2.
T2. It was T2.
It was
Okay.
T2.
Okay.
Yeah, it
No,
was
don't
T2.
doubt yourself.
Yeah.
Don't doubt
It was
yourself.
T2. What was the other poster?
There was a Weekend at Bernie's poster.
Weekend
in
at
the-
Bernie's.
in the-
Weekend at
I
Bernie's,
missed
yes.
that.
Yep.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
missed that. Another great film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was also a reference to the Rocky Horror Picture Show,
Mhm.
which
Yeah, well,
see
that
that.
wasn't part of the dialogue.
but I'm just like all these things were from the early 80s.
Right.
And that's what put
Yeah.
and everything in
Right.
this movie
Yeah,
was
yeah.
early 80s
And then,
except for the
well,
film.
except for T2 was early 90s.
What hospital room
true.
was the main character in
Late
when he's
80s.
running around looking? Did you just catch that reference? 237 from The
Oh, yeah.
Shining.
Oh, is that Shining?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
it's pretty good. Yeah.
Oh.
I did read that too.
All right, ham, egg, and cheese. Ham, egg, and cheese. And let's just kind of just talk about the end for a second, guys.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how well do you think this movie paid off?
I give it a 6 just because it wasn't obvious enough without a little bit more research. It was a little bit more obvious with the fangs, the whole 20 thing. It was the fangs what got me because that was the big reveal. It was dragged on in the scene where they're zooming in on her face and she's like discovering the teeth, the fangs. And you don't know exactly what that's from unless you vaguely remember the footage of his dreams and how he's seen her and him and the reflection of her in his glasses and stuff like that. And they both have fangs. They're having what seems to be fun or some type of enthusiastic moment in life. So that's
You're a 6.
This is a dumb question, but what was with the eye?
Oh, the bleeding eye?
Well, no, the red eye.
Oh,
Well, the
She
red
takes
and the blue.
well,
thing.
Well, yeah.
She takes the eye patch off, and she has red.
red bleeding eye.
Well,
Well, she had a very red. There was both.
the
She had a
originally
very
it was
red
bleeding,
eye.
and then she put the
the
patch.
Then
iris
she
or
had a-
whatever
yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
The iris
No,
was red.
If you pay
Yeah,
attention,
yeah.
it's even crazier than that. It's when she first has the panic attack or whatever in the sleep study, she looks at the doctor and her eyes all red, and then it just completely clears up automatically, instantly while she's looking at her. Then later, she's like, "You're bleeding a little bit here."
Right.
Then she puts the eye patch on and looks, and it's all red. And then she looks at it like an hour later, and it's fine. So there's something weird going on with that
and
eye.
she also gouges out the eyes
Yeah.
of Harry Potter.
I think it's a weird.
I don't know what's going on with that eye.
There is a something.
I
yeah.
think it's either a subconscious or a visual cue of us showing that she had to protect herself in one way or another, and then she had to see if it was good. And nope, it wasn't good yet. So she had to cover back up before she discovered the rest of it. I think that's just a metaphorical.
Yeah,
thing.
there's something intentional there that I did not pick up on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad I wasn't. I was worried that I was.
I thought it was
Yep.
metaphorical,
Yeah.
where she's like, "Oh, I need to check to see if things are good." No, they're not. I need to cover.
Knowing
back.
the rest of this movie, I'm sure it had a meaning. I'm just not smart enough. I wish
We're
I
going
could
to
be
tag
like,
the director
this is what
like
that
hell
means.
in this one. So
Yeah.
because like it's the poster, like the eye cover is the poster.
that's what I was so confused
yeah,
by.
right,
the,
right.
the
Which
cover.
also misrepresentative of the film. kind
Yeah,
of.
I think
didn't-
so too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brian, 1 out of 10. Payoff.
Payoff's 11.
Brian loves the payoff.
It literally made the entire movie make sense to me, and it just it did it for me. It was like the whole time I was anticipating something, and I got exactly what I wanted. It was exactly what I wanted, and I've still never seen a movie give the payoff on the last scene of the movie before. I've never seen the last frame of the movie be,
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and bump it up another 5 points.
Yes.
What?
Yes, you should.
Yeah.
Wow.
Welcome to the 80s.
I'm in the 84 now. I've come up 10 points in this
I
film.
love it.
Just because of the meaning behind it, the more I dig into it, the more I think about it, the more beautiful it is, the cinematography, a lot of things really pay off in this. So I'm at 84.
Good job. Good
And here's
job.
what I just realized, guys. So last week, we talked about a dear film. It's called Night at the
Night at the
Roxbury.
Roxbury.
Please watch Night at the Roxbury. And it just dawned on me, I gave it the exact same score.
Really?
79 and 79. Although, in the middle of Night at the Rock, now watch the episode. You'll see what happens.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was a doozy. Cool, baby.
I bumped up that score. A few of us bumped up our scores.
Yeah.
All of us.
We all did.
I did.
We all did.
I did.
Yeah.
But I went from a 79 to an 80.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I should do that here too. I
1
think I should
point.
do that here too.
Oh, dang, I came up 10 points in this film.
So we, just to be congruent.
And I
here.
just wish Ben would pull a Nick and drop his score in response to all of us raising.
Yes.
No, don't do that,
The
please.
problem
No,
is
Ben.
that I liked the movie.
I know. No, you're,
Yeah.
Like I can't.
I
lower
respect
it.
all the ratings on the table.
Yeah.
This has been Hot Pocket.
Yes, I needed that.
Yes.
It's in the same location. Wrong
No. I
page.
think that's the new Hot Pocket noise.
Yeah, can we just go to Hadaway from now on?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Because when you played that and then you played Hot Pocket after that, I was like, oh.
It was yeah. Time for closing thoughts. So look, this movie is better than it had any right to be.
Yeah.
And it gets better like a fine wine with age, I think. And I'd be interested to see if I watch this a third time if I like it even more. But Brian, thank you for putting this on my radar.
Yeah,
and
no kidding.
I'm glad we talked about it because it was also a fun one to talk about. There's
Yeah.
just stuff to talk about here. There's a lot of interpretation, with this movie, and that's fun sometimes. So, I definitely, I don't think this movie's not for everybody. Like
For sure.
there are going to
For
be
sure.
some people
no.
who just
Yep.
fucking hate this movie, and I'm not even mad at you. Like it's just not your.
That's why we
kind
do
of
this
movie.
show.
Yeah.
Totally.
And I will say also that, I give this movie, well, now an 80. I also feel like, as I kind of said this earlier, but headspace is very important when you watch this movie. And I was in the right headspace to watch this movie. I was just kind of relaxed. I was, nighttime, it felt right. I think if I was just trying to blaze through this on like a Sunday afternoon, this would have just not hit like it did. So anyways, it's not for everyone. It's a thinker's movie.
Yeah.
And finally, I will just say, just such props for this cast and crew for pulling off what they did with the resources they
Impressive.
had. Really impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this film, I mean, it's growing on me. The more I think about it, the more thought-provoking it is. That's the biggest thing I can think about. Like, I have huge props to a movie that can like make me think about it even more and more and more, whether right after the movie or during the movie or even more well after the movie's come out. I've already watched it. Interstellar is maybe the last film I can think of that was like very similar to this, where the more I think about it, the more I want to dive into it.
For sure.
I've only watched it once, so I think on rewatch, I think this could become stronger and stronger. And throw in the unbelievable cinematography, the set pieces, the atmosphere, the visual cue, like all those things. Just the music, holy shit! Like just.
Can I just pile on one more thing here? Because when you were talking cinematography earlier, this is something I wanted to say and I forgot to say. I feel like the cinematography is so good in this movie, especially because it doesn't try too hard. It does so many nice things.
It doesn't have like gimmicks.
It's kind of conventional.
It's so
very
minimal,
conventional.
right?
I
And
agree.
but it does conventional really
Right.
well,
Does it right.
and not too much. Like
you say conventional, and I think of like the thirds, like 1/3 thing, and like breaking it up. And they're not just using that; they're just like breaking out of it just a little bit, so it feels a little bit either more uncomfortable or just a little bit uneasy. So you're like, oh, okay, it makes you intrigued.
There's a balance. Yeah.
One thing about it is that they don't do a lot of camera work. Like it's slow movements, it's slow pans, it's slow tilts, it's slow movements, and it's not a lot of I don't know.
I like the word you use, conventionally good, because you think about, like, have you guys watched Severance season 2? Remember the first episode of that when he's running through the halls and the camera work is just like, how the hell did they do that?
Good.
That's awesome cinematography on a different level. Same thing with like the mirror shot in Contact, or like the under the floor shot and like What Lies Beneath. These awesome, cool tricks that they do. There was none of that here, but you don't need that kind of stuff for it to be conventionally good. And you guys have talked so well about this movie and these closing thoughts, so I'll just kind of be brief here. SDTs, this movie, it showed and it didn't tell. It showed and it didn't told you. It just gave a lot through the performances and the dream sequences and all that. And then I'll just say, I just love the fact that it was one person's. This is we talked about our movie's art, and I think this is somebody who sat down and painted a beautiful painting. This is a work of art from a singular vision. So, good job. I really cannot think of anything negative to say about this movie. Just love the interpretation and symbolism that leads to great conversations.
And this Anthony Scott Burns guy, I think this is just so important. It seems like a gimme, but obviously he understands film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He understands, he wasn't throwing shit at the wall to see what would work. Yeah. He understood what works before.
And his inspirations and the people that he referenced are great filmmakers, so it would make sense.
Yep. So please make something else, buddy.
Yeah, please.
Dude, it's been 5 years.
I will watch it.
We're
we'll give you the props. Yeah.
All right. This was episode 54. We're going to do episode 55. We're always threatening to do more episodes, and we are going to continue to do that. And up in the rotation, it's Gris is going to be dictating our next
You ready for
film.
this?
I'm so excited.
I'm
glad we're doing
ready,
this.
But what is it, man?
All right, guys. This movie is from our year of our Lord and Savior, 1993. Okay. Can you guys want to try to guess it before I come in? You want me to come with a PG-13 rating, comedy adventure. Okay.
I'm liking all this
starring
so far.
Mel Brooks, Amy Yazbek, and Carrie Elwes.
Robin Hood Men in Tights.
We're
doing Robin Hood.
Yes.
In honor of Ken Honeywell's comment with the word Robin Hood, we're doing Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yes.
We got to do Robin Hood Prince of
We
Thieves
not only,
after that.
you guys referenced it earlier in this episode.
That is awesome.
And I was so excited when you said it. You could probably see the joy on my face. I was like, yes, we're going to do
Good job
Robin
not
Hood
spoiling
Men
it.
in
Good
Tights.
job.
Wow.
Robin
so
Hood
hyped.
Men
That is
in
exciting.
Tights.
I heard Carrie Elwes's house burned down in the fire. So
Carrie.
look, this episode is going to be a fundraiser. Hang on. Carrie, we love you. If we make any money,
All
from
proceeds,
this,
if we make any dollars,
we'll send it right to you, sir.
Yeah, we appreciate you.
Yes, even though you probably have plenty of money. But
I love
anyways,
it. That's a totally, like, I love how
It's
we're
so out
going
of
from
there.
this kind of movie to that kind of movie. Great job.
I'm hyped.
yeah, that's
job.
going to be fun. I'm looking forward to that. It's been too long since I've seen that fine film.
Yes.
Okay. This has been episode 54 of Critical Mess. We talked about Come True. We're going to talk about Carrie Elwes movie next.
Hell yeah.
And I'm hyped.
Our second one of our podcast.
That's right. That's right. And we will catch you all on the flip.
Later.
See ya.